The cocaine that was found at the White House, was it yours?
No, beyond the fact that I wasn't even there.
Also, do you guys really think that Hunter Biden was going to misplace his cocaine? It's like the same thing as like, do you guys think I don't finish dinner?
You know, when I wrote my book, clawing through the carpet to find crack cocaine, I know it's a real laugh line, but anybody that's ever been an addict like that, they don't laugh about it.
I mean, I can respect that. Embarrassing yourself a little bit just to try to like help other people going through something similar. I also have an addiction to Dunkin' Donuts.
The laptop absolutely proved nothing, but it became this cultural touchstone.
I mean, now in retrospect, it definitely said I was close with Don Jr. through the Hunter Biden laptop scandal. We talked about it.
Do you hear what she's doing right now? She's implying there is that he fed her a bullshit narrative. It's not her fault. It's the Trump's fault. She's turned on them.
What we're witnessing right now is not right.
You know, we stood behind Trump, we fought, and now we have their family engaged in so many corrupt deals, the meme coins, the taking advantage of people. And you go, okay, well, what we actually have is politics is corrupt.
I mean, she's not wrong. One day she's talking about how she's having sex with the ghost of Charlie Kirk. The next day she's sitting here having a deep conversation about how Trump is hiding the Epstein files from people. She kind of is scary, dude. You bring me Dunkin' Donuts? Wow, feeding my addiction. All right, guys, let's get this going here. We got Candace Owens and Hunter Biden interview. I'm actually interested in this. The interview that Hunter Biden had with Andrew Callahan from Channel 5 was really good. It's really interesting. I kind of like Hunter Biden. But yeah, let's get this party started. Just before we get going, just so you guys know, $2 a month membership, access to the Discord, and the VODs after I stop streaming. $5 a month gets exclusive content. You know, members only videos and pre-releases and stuff. So let's just go.
Hunter Biden. Welcome to the Candace Owens show.
It's wonderful to be
People
here.
are just going to be like, how on earth
This is going to be so weird.
did this happen?
I know.
I got to give them a bit of a backstory. So
I don't know. It kind of makes sense. I mean, it makes sense. Candace is quite crazy on the right, but then, Joe Biden was pretty good at reaching across the aisle. So this makes sense for Hunter to kind of like continue that legacy in some capacity.
I went to dinner with a fellow podcaster, and we were just talking about interviews because we don't do too many interviews on the show. And he first asked me what was the best interview I ever did, and I said, without question, the USS Liberty survivor, Phil Turney. And then he said, what would be your top interview that you'd want to do? And I said, oh gosh, we're in such a different time now. Like, I'm just not interested in politics. Like,
what? She's not interested in politics? What?
It would have to be something so different. And then I said, actually, Hunter Biden. And I said to him, I watched your sit down with Andrew Callahan.
Yeah.
And it was kind of the most refreshing interview that I had seen in politics in a very long time.
Yeah, it was a good interview. I just don't understand the whole she's not at the politics thing. That doesn't really make sense to me, but okay.
Because we're so used to being gaslit about various things happening. Everyone's trying to hide stuff. And we read a lot about you. I guess we didn't really hear anything from you. So this was kind of the first time that I heard you in your own words, just totally owning your addiction issues, also going after Jake Tapper and George Clooney. And when we were kind of expecting...
Right, because they kind of went after his dad for some dumbass bullshit. I think he also went after a little bit like Kamala Harris. So...
the typical Democrat, like, these are great guys. These guys are amazing. Jake Tapper should, win a Pulitzer. I don't know. And I would just, it wasn't what I was expecting, is what I would say. So, and then that person just sort of made this happen.
Yeah.
So I want to just sort of get into the Hunter Biden story. I will say to the audience right now, I have already made the pledge right when I got on the phone with you that, like, obviously I'm not going to make you say anything bad about your father, because that would just be completely demonic to be like.
Yeah. Also, I liked Joe Biden. I think he did pretty well. So I don't really want to get into it, but he brought us out of COVID pretty strong. It was a tough time, so.
Say something terrible about your father. Everyone knows my opinions, my political perspectives. They're already out there. He is your dad. So that is separate from my viewpoints.
Because there's no way I possibly could.
Yeah, of course. I totally get that. But there's a lot to be said about you, and a lot that I guess hasn't been said about your journey. And I guess I want to start with just one question for the culture. The cocaine that was found at the White House, was it yours?
No, not only was it not mine. No, number one is thank you for having me here. And one of the reasons is to be able to answer these questions. The one thing I am, after 6 years of this, I've been sober since June 1st of 2019, clean and sober. Verifiably so, by the way, and verifiably so by the Bureau of Probation, in which I was drug tested randomly for over the course of 2 years while I went through my trials and things like that. But beyond...
I mean, I'm sure you could fake that if you really wanted to, but I'm not saying that he did. I'm just saying you could.
That is that, directly to your question, I wasn't even there. Not only there, but people have to understand, is where that cocaine was found was, the visitor's entrance underneath that is where visitors come in and they come over from the old executive office building staff to go to the Oval or go to the chief of staff's office or to the offices in the West Wing. And it was found in a cubby in right outside of the Situation Room.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like no possibility, not even remotely, beyond the fact that I wasn't even there.
Right.
I mean, I spent probably, over the course of 4 years, maybe 25 days at the White House, like 25 nights, 30, if I.
Also, do you guys really think that Hunter Biden was going to misplace his fucking cocaine? You know what I mean? The epic cool coke guy. You know what I mean? I feel like if I was an addict, I probably would misplace my shit. Unless his dad took it and hid it from him in the White House and said, "You can't come in here."
Being fair. And so it's just, it was an easy, I'm an easy target, and understandably so.
Right.
I mean, I've been, I think, probably the most famous addict and famous person, through the grace of God, in recovery for 7 years, or close to 7 years, June 1st. So.
Yeah, I definitely thought you were on drugs while your father was in the White House. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think it might have just also been the timing of the laptop coming out and then people just assuming that you were still on drugs. I don't know. But that might have been why in our heads we thought.
Also, I think you guys, Candace, you don't care about the truth. Let's not pretend anything. You're kind of fucking crazy. I know that she's going to appear very normal and reasonable in here, but she is going fucking incredibly crazy and talking about how she sees the ghost of Charlie Kirk talking to her. So I think maybe people knew it was a smear campaign, that they just wanted to go after him because they found a laptop with him fucking, from years ago. He was jerking off. They love his cock. Conservatives love fucking Hunter Biden's cock, man. That's what it comes down to. Just love that dick. That's all. What else can you really say?
I think that it was that they purposely conflated. I wrote a book, which came out in April of 2021, in which I did something that very few people, I think, ever in that are kind of like similarly situated to me do, in which I was 100% frank about the fact that not only was I an addict, not only was I alcoholic. I don't really see the distinction between the two when they're both drugs, but I was a crack addict. Like, I was a degenerate crack addict. I mean, I've heard you call me a crackhead many times, and the truth of the matter is, I was a crackhead.
Yeah.
And I say that not to shock people, because it's really shocking.
I don't think it's that shocking. I mean, I feel like who somebody's always going through some shit. Frankly, I think that the optics almost look good for him, because I had a troubled past. I was an addict. It was tough. A lot of people in the world, or the United States, that are addicts right now. So I feel like you could almost, this almost makes him more relatable, to be honest with you.
Crack cocaine carries such a stigma to it to begin with, but I say it because I think that there are so many people. I know there are so many people. I think that there's, at any given time, 30 million Americans that are either in active addiction or in recovery. There's not a single person that I know that hasn't been impacted by addiction at some level, in some form.
Man, Hunter Biden might be the only person who's ever benefited from fucking being a drug addict. How fucked up is that? Because unironically, I think that there's a lot of people that would look at Hunter Biden and go like, oh, you know what? I would vote for him. I mean, right now, with how fucking crazy Trump is, I feel like, how much worse could you get? I'll take a former addict. Like a former addict that's reasonable, that's the son of like an actual decent president. I'll take that over anything at this point. I mean, Jesus fucking Christ.
Personally, or with someone that is 1 degree of separation from them that they love? No one that I know.
Least of all me.
Yeah, and part of that, one of the reasons I'm here, the stories that you tell about that, in terms of
my family,
your family, and
what was with her family? Was with her family addicts or something?
And there is where the common ground is for me. I can 100% say this, is that a friend of mine gave me this quote about 2 years ago, and it's become my mantra. It's Mother Teresa. It was attributed to Mother Teresa. Is, if you want to change the world, go home and love your family. That's my everything now. And
I like that. I think that's a beautiful thing.
And part of that is not just the family that you have by blood and birth, but also the community that you're inextricably tied to. And that community for me is the recovery community, and it's people that are still sick and suffering from addiction. And so the biggest reason that I wanted to come talk to you, beyond the fact, and this is not me blowing smoke, I think that regardless of whether I agree with you, that you're probably the most effective communicator I've ever heard.
Thank you.
I don't think that's true, just to be clear. I think that she's a very effective communicator to a very large group of people online who believe in like very insane conspiracies. Again, this is the one that says that she's been talking to the ghost of Charlie Kirk, right? So, there's a lot of fucking crazy people online who've been roused and riled up by conservatives like Trump. There's a lot of conspiracies going on. Everything's like vaccine denial or COVID conspiracies or election conspiracies or everything is a conspiracy that they play into, like the Great Replacement theory that white people are trying to be replaced, and there's so many different fucking conspiracies going on. And so Candace can speak to those people, and there's a lot of them apparently. There's a lot of fucking crazies out there, and so she speaks, I guess, effectively to the fucking insane people like that. But I wouldn't call her an effective communicator, although I guess she is in that capacity. I guess she is in that capacity. I guess I can't hate too much, but fucking Jesus Christ, yeah.
Behind a microphone, and it's
maybe she's just like a cathartic experience for like even some sane conservatives to listen to it and go like, yeah, you know what I mean. I wonder how much of it's that.
Really drove me crazy at times. It really made me mad. Yeah. But is it? I wanted to talk to you about those things and anything else you want to talk about.
Yeah, I'm most interested in the addiction story, and yeah. I was saying to you before we started rolling that this was sort of something.
I mean, just the fact that Candace is talking to him and she's talking to him nicely. I mean, she knows how. Like, she obviously is smarter than she lets off. Like, let's be fucking real. I mean, she's coming off. She knows that she shouldn't be in attack mode. This is the best time to talk to Hunter Biden. He's like an alternative kind of a person. He's. I don't want to say he's conservative, but like he's part of kind of like, I guess like more of an old school Democrat like Joe Biden. A lot of people like Joe Biden. People like to pretend that they didn't like him a lot, but a lot of people like Joe Biden. So I think there's I think that's part of it as well. And like, now he seems so much more moderate because things have obviously gotten a little bit crazy, but he's always been moderate. I mean, at least Joe Biden's always been moderate. So
that I noticed when I would cover various topics.
But the rats are fleeing, baby.
Whether it was pornography, drugs on my show, drinking, how many men would write and say they were suffering with various things, and yet they don't often speak about like how they're quietly suffering, whether it's with addiction to pornography, addiction to drugs, and I don't think there are enough conversations about it. And so when I watched that interview of you just laying it out there, something that most people try to hide or they're shameful of, I was like, there actually just needs to be more dialogue about it. I grew up with tons of addicts in my family. I have people in my family who are still addicted, and there is a natural anger that people have when they, for some reason, believe, and I think this was part of the anger that that I had it toward you before I heard you speak about your addiction, is that you sort of think when somebody has money and political connections that somehow removes them from going through these sorts of barriers in life. So when I grew up, it's like, okay, like you have uncles, whatever, that are...
Well, I mean, I don't know, something seems a little bit inauthentic here. And the inauthenticity is like, hey, I have a ton of people in my family that are like addicts in some capacity. But then I saw you talk I understood you were an addict and blah 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 blah. You don't face certain barriers. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. If you had addicts in your family, I feel like you'd be more sympathetic. And I do think that she has addicts in her family. I think that she was just like okay with the smear campaign against Hunter Biden because it was convenient, because that was what you're supposed to do.
Addicted to crack.
Like that was what you were supposed to be doing in the atmosphere at that time.
You have cousins that are doing crack, whatever it is, or experimenting with meth and drugs and those things, and then you see someone that has a life of privilege, and for some reason in your mind you wrongly go, okay, that can't happen, and it did happen. And I'd like to hear like how you got addicted. Like what was actually the story, your path toward addiction?
Yeah. So thank you for letting me talk about that or asking me about it, and I really mean it. It's one of the things that traps people. I can only speak about myself, but I think that people that are in that are addicts or that are in recovery, also you find out really fast is that you're not as terminally unique as you think you are. Is that and one of the things that that is really important about addicts talking to each other and talking about it is that realization, because one of the things that traps you in your addiction is shame. And you like me are Catholic, and we have learned that guilt is an appropriate emotion. Guilt is an appropriate response to something when you've done something wrong, and you're supposed to atone for it, and you're supposed to seek forgiveness, whether the forgiveness comes from an individual or not. That is that's the lesson, is that it is in only through seeking that forgiveness can you release yourself from that guilt. That's appropriate. Shame is not. Shame is just absolutely corrosive. Shame is you telling yourself that you're not worthy, that you're never.
I understand what he's saying. I don't necessarily agree, but it's more of like a word choices thing. I think that like I like to talk about productive shame. I think that people should have like a productive level of shame for like the things that they have going on that are not good, but that's what he's kind of talking about. Is like you should have guilt. That would be the productive shame. It's the stuff that you can kind of move on from. Like if you're a little overweight or unhealthy, it's good to be a little productively ashamed of yourself. Just be like, I should do better type of a thing. There's nothing wrong with that, but you shouldn't let it beat you down so much that you just can't move on and be a better person. That's where it becomes like this massive issue. You need to be able to like move on from it, or else you're never going to be able to grow or become a better person or be able to function. Shit just happens. And, you need to have your grieving time, regardless of what it is. And then you kind of need to like push on. And that's part of character building. It's part of life.
Going to be work.
So
that the things that you've done, you can never be redeemed from. And I've done horrible things in my addiction in terms of what I did, in terms of my relationships and decisions that I made. And more than anything is just removing myself from being present for the people that love me. And what happened to me, and I really mean this, is that the exposure, not piecemeal, but the total exposure, my entire digital footprint stolen from me, a 20-year digital footprint, every text message, every picture, all of the things that you would be ashamed of became front page news for 4 years, 5 years.
That's got to be fucked. I can imagine that. That would, I don't know. That would make me, I don't know if I'd be able to handle that. That's all I'm saying. I have no idea if I'd be able to handle all that going on.
Beginning in 2019. And it forced me into a choice. And the choice was, do I get out of bed and live, or do I die? And it became that much of a dichotomy. And I chose to live. And it wasn't easy. And maintaining sobriety in that kind of like a pressure cooker is often the thing that triggers you. But something broke in me in a good way, which was that I no longer have any fear.
I guess that makes sense. I mean, I guess if you get harassed that much online over some shit, you have one of two options. You can either, deal with it or not deal with it. I know it sounds simple, but I mean, if you're getting fucking harassed relentlessly, at some point it might be like, you know what? It doesn't matter. None of this harassment actually means anything. Or you can let it succumb, like, take you over and do drugs or something, I guess. I mean, that's also another option, I suppose, for you if you really wanted to.
Sitting down with you is, to me, an opportunity for you to see me as a human being and not, Hunter Biden laptop.
Yeah.
And the pictures that, Congressman Green, put up in Congress, or the New York Post. I think I was on the cover of the New York Post in 1 year more than anybody in the history of the paper.
Wow, famous guy, huh?
And none of it was good. None of it was good. And but what it's given me is the opportunity to own it all. Is to own all of my story without shame or fear. Realizing that I have a community of people out there that I want to be of service to. I really mean that. And so part of it is by me being able to be honest about it. We were just talking before we started this, is the hardest thing for any addict to do is not only get honest with the people that they love, but to get honest with themselves. And until they can really see themselves for who they are, all of it, and decide to love themselves, then, the cycle is just going to continue. It's just, at least in my experience, that's the truth.
I think one of the things...
Did I even answer your question?
Yeah, well, I want to talk about the first time that you got introduced to it, because that's interesting.
Oh, I know. I went into all the good stuff.
Actually, start with that. Like, how did you actually get introduced? First off, describe for people who don't know the difference between cocaine and crack, because crack is a lot more addictive. Yeah. And so just what is the difference?
I know I got a lot of heat for...
No.
And crack just like cut down cocaine.
It was fantastic. It was fantastic. I was like, well, he's actually very educated on this. And
well, it's important to me to make the distinction that there's this idea that there's this kind of a secret kind of special enhancement to powder cocaine that makes it into crack, and you have to have some technical degree in order to be able to do that. And let's start all the way at the beginning. I think that I'm genetically predisposed to be an alcoholic. I do believe that there is a genetic piece of it. I do believe that my brain works differently as an addict in terms of the way in which my synapses fire once they're introduced to the dopamine hit and the serotonin increase that occurs because of an introduction of a substance. I believe that I became acclimated and physiologically dependent upon that when I started to drink in earnest when I was in college, in which you can control. And I made it through Georgetown, and I went to Jesuit Volunteer Corps for a year. I've been and it was kind of like domestic peace. Well, the JVC. I was JVC for a year after college, and then I went to Yale Law School. Was married, had my oldest daughter when I was a first year law student, and made it through all of that, and made it through my first years of employment, drinking probably more than everybody than most people do, but completely functional. And one day I woke.
I mean, yeah, I agree that there's just like a certain, I don't know if I'd say a certain type of thing, but like, yeah, I agree that there's like a genetic predisposition to being on some, like being like addicted to some kind of a substance. And I think fat people have it. I don't know, man. Eating so much fucking food, that's not good for you. Like, you're actively killing yourself because it feels good to eat. I do think that that's part of it, and I think it's also easier to get somebody to never be an addict than to become an addict, right? Like, if you have a family of alcoholics, you're probably better off not having your kid drink alcohol at all, probably, because they're going to get addicted. But once they are, it's really hard to get them off and no longer be addicted.
Woke up when I was 33 years old to my brother calling me and saying, "This has got to stop. Like, you got to stop." And what he meant is that, like a whole weekend was missing, kind of. And
I think that's part of what drove him to do it more, though. Like, he was doing drugs and stuff, and his brother had passed away, and it fucked him up even more.
And I said, okay. And he drove me to the airport, and he put me on a plane in New York, and I flew to a place that was started by Eric Clapton called Crossroads in Antigua. And I went to rehab, and I came out, and I went directly when I came out. My brother picked me up from the airport, drove me to an AA meeting, walked in with me, DuPont Circle in DC. I met my sponsor at that first meeting that I ever went to, and I stayed clean and sober for about 7 years. And
well, that's good.
And then I relapsed, and it was such a mundane, stupid story. I was on a plane by myself. Everything was okay. Things were looking up. It was normal life pressures, but it was all good. And that's the real insidious thing about addiction and alcoholism. It never goes away necessarily. There's always the answer that is being presented to you by the thing that you trust the most, which is your brain. And what it says is, if you don't want to feel this way, whatever the way is, or if you want to feel this way even more, I have the answer for you. And I was on a plane by myself, and I had a drink.
I can resonate with that. Damn, that's fucked. I can resonate with that fundamental idea, Like, I get it. It makes sense to me. That's for me, it might be eating or smoking cigarettes, dude. Fuck. You know what I mean? It kills me. I always want to go to something. And then when you're doing one of the things, the other ones don't scream as loudly to you. At least that's my experience. And it's like a replacement addiction type of a thing.
And that drink in 2010, 7 years almost of sobriety, started a cycle of relapse and recovery, and relapse and recovery, in which it was really hard for me to be honest with the people that love me, because I just wanted to hide it. I just wanted it to go away. And I thought, okay, I'll get through this cycle, and I'll sleep it off this weekend, and that's it. I'm done. And that would last a week, and then it would last 3 months, and then I went back to rehab, and then it became then I came back, and I started, you talk about this all the time, which I love that you do. It was big pharma, you know what I mean? I had shingles, and so somebody prescribed me 52 oxycodone, ridiculous. And I started that, and then I started drinking again, and the prescription ran out, and then this cycle just started to happen.
And you start self-medicating and stuff. I imagine it can be kind of difficult to, if you're really sick and you have to go on some kind of narcotic or something. I mean, after it's done, what do you do? Oh, I'm just done. I'm just done with it. That's all right. Don't worry about it,
And, but when my brother died, it all fell apart. Bo and I were, and I don't purport that our relationship was unique, or that his loss was greater than my loss of him was greater than anybody else's loss of their brother or someone that they deeply, deeply loved. But when my mom and sister and my Bo and I were in that car accident in 1972, and we survived, it was the two of us every day. We're a year and a day apart. We talked every day. I mean, except when he was in Iraq, I literally probably talked to my brother every day. And when Bo died, my marriage fell apart.
Yeah, I get that.
After 20 years, 22 years. By the way, for reasons that marriages fall apart, you know. And
well, I imagine that after his brother died, like it was struggle for him to cope with just like functioning as a human being. So I imagine that would kind of have a pretty substantial impact. I mean, when somebody like that dies, that's so core to you as a person changes. You know, like if my wife passed away, I'm not me anymore. You know what I mean? Like there's nothing, there's no me anymore at all because my wife's not there. And I think that's kind of the comparable situation, you know?
But I take a lot of responsibility for it. And it just started a really, really dark cycle. In the past, when I would have these relapses, there was always someone in such proximity to me that they would like, you know, I couldn't escape. In this instance, Bo was gone. I right after Bo died, I ended up separated from my wife like within a month, and my dad.
A whole fucking month. I wonder if there's already shit going on there. If it only took a month, but that's fucked.
For the first time in my life, who was my rock, was stuck in his own grief, like deep, deep grief, and I just went down into a hole, and I checked myself into a rehab that year and came out and stayed sober for a while and then relapsed and then went into an outpatient program in DC where I went 4 hours every day for, from 8 to 2 or 6 hours every day, stay sober. And then I relapsed and I came back and they said, well, you have to, I admitted to them that I relapsed and that in this instance, I also used cocaine. And they said, well, you have to take a drug test. And I said, I'm not going to take a drug test. I'm not going to put something on, it's because it's not protected by HIPAA in a rehab scenario, which is crazy, right? Yeah. Anyway, long story short, they said, you can't come back in unless you take the drug test. And I said, I'm not taking the drug test. I'm going through a divorce. It's not protected by HIPAA. It will become public. I don't want to do this to my family. I'm telling you, I used cocaine and I drank. Is that not good enough? Come back. And they said, no, for whatever reason, and I'm not blaming them. This is not their fault. I walked out and I knew.
It's interesting because on the one hand, obviously with having all this money because of who his family is, he was able to go to rehab, and frankly, he may not be alive today if his family didn't have money. I mean, everybody else would have fallen through the crack, or may have fallen through the cracks. At least there's a much higher chance of it happening. But at the same time, in this instance, it's they want him to take a drug test to prove that he was on drugs. So I don't really know why you would need to do that, but whatever. I guess that's the protocol. But that would have ruined his family politically because of people like Candace Owens. If they had found out, it would have turned into a massive fucking thing. So I think that it's a little interesting because that's what he means when he says oh, I couldn't, I didn't want to do that to my family. I didn't want that, I didn't want to be the shame of my family and people to find out about it and then to do what happened to the laptop, which was fucking insane. Because someone like Candace Owens would have been a fucking absolutely brain melted and be oh, I hate Hunter Biden, he's a drug addict, he's a loser, blah blah blah. That's all she would have done. And I think we all know that. I mean, I think that Hunter Biden is a very honest person. I think that Candace Owens is a legitimate grifter. She comes off very reasonable here, but we have to keep in mind that the people coming off as reasonable is kind of silly. I always find it a little interesting because we talk about actions speak louder than words, which is true. And then we see Candace Owens' actions, and then all of a sudden this interview happens, and it's wait a minute, she's actually kind of okay. She's kind of normal. Not really. It's nice that she can be reasonable here when she feels like it suits her platform in a productive capacity. But she is not a fundamentally reasonable person.
Lincoln Park was a kind of open air drug market. I saw a woman that was kind of famous in the area since I had been in college, literally for 20 years, that I would see in the streets around, DC in that area where I would work for a long time. And I went up to her and I said, can I get some crack?
Wow.
And I think it was basically, I said, can you help me commit suicide?
Jesus,
I mean, I don't think I know that.
Oh, I think that he means in the capacity that that's what the substance abuse is basically. That makes sense if that's what he's talking about.
Now, and looking back, it was the coward's way. And I really mean that. I was a coward. I didn't go and just do it. I said, let me do it this way and really, really, really drag everybody down with me along the way. Let me figure out the way not only to kill myself, but to maybe kill my dad, really hurt my family.
Is he saying that was his active mentality, or that was just his passive mentality? That was probably his passive mentality. But I mean, that would be kind of the instance of productive shame, right? Of like, okay, if I do this, I don't care about myself, but like, what about my family? They'll be upset in some capacity. This will happen in some capacity. You know what I mean? So that is one of the benefits of some kind of productive shame there.
Particularly my 3 daughters who like adore me and I adore like just the fact. And I smoke crack. And the difference between crack cocaine and powder cocaine is this. And I really truly do not want to give a roadmap for people to be able to do this, because I swear to God, it'll kill you. But it's sodium bicarbonate, which is baking soda, water, heat. That's it. That's all. That is the entire difference of it, which allows it to be ingested through smoking. And the combination of those things makes it so that it affects your physiology much faster than it would be if you just use powder cocaine through your nose or in any other form other than intravenously. And it also allows you to ingest more faster than you could possibly ever ingest by sniffing cocaine up your nose. The combination of that, the combination of combustion, ritual, and the ritual meaning the way in which you have to.
I wonder why he's so educated on this. I know, I guess it's just like, what a smart drug addict, I don't mean to say it like in a rude way. It's just like, wow, what the fuck? Like, I personally don't need the history lesson, but it's like, wow, that's very smart. Like, that's a lot of, it's a lot,
I mean, I can still feel my hands doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Is, becomes this ritualistic thing with the combination of combustion, which is, and you learn, if you really study things about addiction, is these kind of key components of oral fixation and things like that. It just becomes the most ungodly addiction that you can possibly imagine, to the point where I was smoking crack. Literally, I was either looking for or smoking or recovering, not even recovering. You don't recover. You just go find more for close to a 2-year period of time.
Wow.
And it took me to places, I wrote all about it and I got made fun of about it. And, people think that, when I wrote my book, like, clawing through the carpet to find crack cocaine and, Parmesan cheese and I know it's a real laugh line, but anybody that's ever been an addict like that, they don't laugh about it. It's devastating. Think that you were.
I mean, I can respect that. Like embarrassing yourself a little bit just to try to like help other people going through something similar. So I feel we all talk about gooning, guys. I'm a fucking pioneer, okay?
That person. You can see yourself doing it. Just devastating. And so,
especially like I also have an addiction to Dunkin' Donuts, and I've been trying so hard to like not like engage with it lately. So, because it's not good for you, man. It's not good for you.
What happens in addiction so often is people not only, they can't admit that. They can't even admit it to themselves. They just block it out. They go, they get 30 days clean. They come out, they go back into the same exact situation that they were in before. And they think, I'm just not going to do it again. I'm just going to stay, I'm going to make it. I'm going to make it. And
yeah, that makes sense. That makes perfect sense, honestly.
What will come up is that
like I can endure it this time without this. Wow, I get that.
I'll wake up in the morning and they'll remember that time in the motel with the person, the prostitute that brought you the drugs. And
well, I guess you couldn't forget that because they wouldn't stop parading it around. Maybe it's just like a compliment because they really just liked his cock a lot. Maybe that's what it is. I wouldn't doubt that Candace Owens was a little simping for that fucking that Biden ween,
that stole your wallet and all your and all your drugs and everything, and you were clawing through carpet to see if there was anything there, and you smoke whatever white that you found on the ground.
Damn,
like it's the shame. Is thinking of yourself like that, regardless of who you are, regardless of where you came from, whether your dad's the president of the United States or it doesn't matter. And they don't admit that to themselves. They don't admit it to anyone around them. Don't ever say it. And you know what happens? They never lose it. And it sits like right here, like in the back of your head, and it pops up. And you just feel so disgusted with yourself that your brain immediately tells you, regardless of how far away you are from a drink or drug, like, I know the way not to feel this way. I know exactly how to feel this way. You're going to die if you keep feeling this way. You need to take a drink. And that's always how it starts. I mean, alcohol is the most dangerous drug in the world, just by virtue of the amount of destruction and devastation that comes personally into the people around people that are alcoholics. And I don't find any difference between being an addict and an alcoholic.
Yeah, an alcoholic is an addict. Absolutely, 100%. And one of the biggest problem with it is that it's so like socially acceptable to do that it makes it like it makes it easy to start. You know, it's so interesting that when I was growing up, we learned about gateway drugs so much. Like, oh, marijuana will get you to listen, man. I don't know that marijuana gets you to do hard drugs, but I will tell you is that like alcohol probably does. Alcohol is definitely more of a gateway drug than anything else. It's legal. It's socially acceptable. People do it. But historically, like people have got like we kind of hand wave some of the negative attributes of being an alcoholic to some degree. I mean, if you get really drunk and drive a car and kill somebody, they're like, okay, that's really not good at all. It's manslaughter. Well, I don't know, man. You made it an active decision to get drunk and drive and you killed somebody. You know, things like that. Historically, getting drunk and beating your wife, even though she might be annoying, you know, you're not supposed to do that. So it's just so accessible. It's so available. And then they add the additional aspect of it, putting like a sin tax on it, which makes sense to reduce, you know, it's so expensive. And kind of like just starts bleeding you dry. Then you're like more poor. And then you're just like more upset. So what are you going to turn to? Alcohol, right? So yeah, I get that. It's pretty fucked. We should at least have the conversation. I mean, if alcohol is legal, why isn't marijuana? You know, I don't think I've ever seen that. I don't think that marijuana is amazing, but it's definitely not as bad as alcohol. So.
And
although maybe that's why alcohol is legal, because when they banned it, all the alcoholics got so angry they started fucking shit up. Whereas like marijuana people, you know, you make that illegal and they're just like, what the heck? You know what I mean? Like there's no actual anything, you know, that's the problem. Marijuana people need to start getting more riled up, but they can't because they're on marijuana. They're just chill as fuck. But that's why we're not getting any progress. You know, we are getting slow progress, but it's just silly.
But that's where it starts. And that's where it started for me. That's my story until I met Melissa and got clean and sober. And I've been so, you know, almost 7 years now.
All right, you guys, some moments change everything. And for a woman facing an unexpected pregnancy.
Well, all right, you guys, remember, don't forget Papa Gut membership stuff.
Seeing her baby on an ultrasound and hearing that tiny heartbeat can turn fear into hope. In fact, it doubles the chance that she'll choose life. That's why Preborn exists. Through free ultrasounds, compassionate care, and real support, Preborn reaches women who feel overwhelmed and alone, giving them the chance to choose life for their babies and a future for themselves.
I think that's beautiful to provide that, but this sounds like an anti-abortion thing, and I think that sometimes, as upsetting as it is, some people might be better off getting an abortion. You know? So, it's a tough decision to make, you know, and I just wanted to throw that out there before she does this weird pro-life ad. That's not really about being pro-life. It's actually about being pro-birth and then not caring about the baby when it's born. So, yeah.
But the support doesn't stop there. Preborn continues helping moms after birth with essentials like diapers, baby clothes, maternity support, counseling, parenting resources, and encouragement. Today, you can help a scared woman become a confident mother. A donation of just $28 provides 1 free ultrasound, and $140 can help reach 5 women in crisis. To donate, simply dial pound 250 and say the keyword baby. Again, that's pound 250 baby, or visit preborn.com/Candace. Again, that's
a big baby, 250.
Preborn.com/Candace. I also, of course, have to remind you about Nimi Skincare because I used to think that great skincare had to be complicated. Like if I wasn't using 10 different products, I wasn't doing enough. Then I found Nimi's 3-step anti-aging routine, and it has changed.
Do you think that she actually uses this stuff? Like, come on. You're using Mimi's anti-aging cream, Candace? Give me a fucking break. You guys know the deal. We watch the ads. If I react to somebody's stuff, I always watch ads.
Everything. It's simple. It's fast.
It's the right thing to do.
And my skin has never looked better. Step 1 is the vitamin C cleanser. It leaves my skin feeling fresh and clean without that dry, tight feeling. Then I use the peptide moisturizer during the day for hydration and firmness. And at night, the Renewal Night Cream is my favorite part. I wake up looking rested, smoother, and glowing. That's it. Just 3 steps, morning and night. And what I love most is that Nimi focuses on ingredients that actually work without making skincare feel overwhelming. So if your bathroom counter is overflowing with products that you barely use, maybe it's time to simplify. Nimi's 3-step anti-aging routine makes taking care of your skin feel easy again. So check out Nimi's
Thanks, Mima. Appreciate it.
Skincare today at NimiSkincare.com and use code Candace10 at checkout for a special discount. Again, that's NimiSkincare.com promo code Candace10 at checkout. When you're in that moment, and I guess people don't realize like you're going through this and you don't get to decide what your father does for a living. And I think that's probably why people separate it as well too, because like I said, there's this idea of what a politician's family is supposed to be.
Yeah.
And you obviously are, because I genuinely understand what those sorts of addictions do. I don't think people realize you're not.
If you do, that makes it kind of more fucked up that you would snipe them so hard. But okay.
You're just not even yourself. Like you're like, it's like a demon, as the best way to say it. And maybe I'm taking a Catholic take on this, but like it's like a full demonic possession when you're in the throes of these drugs. And I mean, this was actually a great benefit of A&E.
Kind of. I mean, I guess everybody experiences stuff differently. I've had my issues. You know, I get it. I don't know, man. It just feels like something's always like calling to you, asking you to do something, and you just like want to do it, even though you know it's bad. And then you give in, and you just get like an incredibly exhilarating feeling. And then eventually, what ends up happening is that feeling of exhilaration goes away, but you are chasing that feeling of exhilaration, so you keep engaging in the destructive behavior of your addiction over and over and over again, because you're just chasing that exhilarating feeling. And so you keep doing it, and then you just continuously escalate. So that might be more drugs or more porn or more whatever the fuck you're doing, until you get to a point where you've basically filled up your bucket past what your body can handle, and you just fucking everything crashes and burns on you. That is the unfortunate reality. But yeah.
Doing intervention, because people could really see these moments where people will choose the drug over their family. They will choose the drug over their kids. They will they'll choose the drug over literally anything. And for people who, and I actually tend to agree with you that I've wondered myself if there's something genetic, because I'm not wired that way.
Yeah, there definitely is something genetic. Like absolutely, there absolutely is something genetic about being addicted to anything that you're addicted to.
Or maybe I just haven't found the drug that would do that to me. But like I would say that like I've just never been. Never had something and was like, oh, I just need to have that again or want it again. And I've seen friends that they have something once and they're like, want to do this every second. And I go,
I don't think that Candace is being genuine here at all. Because Candace is an insane grifter. You bring me Dunkin' Donuts? Wow, feeding my addiction.
That's very interesting. Like it's almost like you're
totally,
made of something different.
I'm certain of that. And the science is certain of that. And anyways, I mean, we all can, I think that we all can.
I find that very funny that he said the science. The science says that. Like, I don't think that Candace really gives that much of a fuck about the science, Hunter. But God bless you.
Associate with, understand addiction at more or less devastating levels. So, for instance, where's your phone? I mean, you basically have a packet of heroin.
Right.
We all do in our pocket.
He's not wrong about that. People do be addicted to their phone. It's actually like a real thing, man. Like you're probably more addicted to your phone than you think. I remember how a while ago what happened is I was like my phone broke, and I work on my phone, so I didn't have it for the whole day, and I was just so happy. Because you go to pick up your phone, you don't realize how often you go to pick up your phone, man. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Constantly giving us that dopamine, which, by the way, we can get to talking about that, because I think that we are not nearly as divided as people as we think that we are. I think that bag of heroin in everybody's pocket is feeding them a lot of that division. But
yeah, I will say one thing. It's hard to block in this game because your block is also your dodge. It's weird.
So we can all kind of understand the compulsion to do things that aren't that clearly aren't benefiting us, like staying up until 3 o'clock in the morning and going through your For You page on TikTok.
All right, stop. A little too relatable there, Hunter. You're being a little too relatable here, buddy boy. Buddy buckaroo. You're pissing me off. All right. I do be doing that.
Every mother, father can watch their teenager do that and go, God, this is awful. And I'm going to take his phone away. And then they turn back to their phone and they start going through their phone. Like, I am.
Yeah, I got to make a conscious effort to reduce my phone consumption. It's so not good, man. So one of the things I actually did, this is going to sound so weird, I stopped playing mobile games. So I don't know, it's kind of reduced my phone a little bit. I don't know, the mobile games will fucking get you a little bit, you know?
Not any better. So we can kind of all understand that compulsion. It's when the compulsion becomes just so the blast radius continues to grow.
Mm-hmm.
So the difference between being a addicted to your phone and being addicted to crack cocaine, I'm not saying are the same, but at least we can kind of get a little bit of an understanding of the physiology of that, of the way in which the brain actually works.
Yeah, they're constantly wanting to feed you information. I don't know. I think it depends. It's a case by case, but I think that there are some people who their social media addiction is like worse than a drug like that, and it's almost more destructive. I do think that, because look at a lot of the people online. I think Candace is one of them. People, especially Twitter users, they're constantly beaming like this insane information into their brain over and over again. Just like continuously beaming like insane information into their brain over and over and over and over and over again, and it like completely rots their brains. And it's not even just like the most extreme situations like that, but like even if you're, I don't know, you have health anxiety and you join like a health anxiety Facebook group or something, and or whatever, your For You page starts just like reflecting your anxiety, and it riles you up and you engage with it more, but you don't engage with it in like a positive, productive capacity. So, I think that's like another example of that.
But
it's like the micro versus the macro. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And everybody has the micro.
But so you can see the micro impact of it. But I think that one of the reasons that why people are so like shocked by my story, right? And by the way, and we're able to conflate. So if the New York Post every day for 6 years runs a picture on online. I mean, I think they literally at one point did like 1.5 stories of me a day for an entire 18-month period.
That's crazy.
Okay. And in each, it didn't matter what the subject was. It was a picture of me naked
with the prostitute,
with whatever, and with a crack pipe in my lips. So so I don't get mad at people when they go like, "Was that your cocaine?" Like, well, number one, the White House. It's like, it just doesn't make any sense. I had 7 Secret Service agents with me at any given time, everywhere I went. The idea that I was in the Situation Room.
Maybe they like coke too, man.
And would decide to drop off. I mean, but beyond that silliness is I don't blame people for not realizing that I have worked my effing ass off. I mean, in this environment, the proudest thing that I've ever done is stay clean and sober through all of it.
You like the mobile games that overwhelm you with ads? Yeah, those are my favorite. Those are so fucking annoying.
Every piece of it, right? Both the trials, through the accusations, through the, Alexander Smirnoffs and Gallups and Konstantin Kuliks and Lev Parnases and Rudy's and Steve Bannon's and all of that is that purely because of the love of the people around me and my willingness to own it all. I'm sitting in front of you.
Yeah.
And you're not taking that away from me.
Right.
No, and by the way, that's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
What
The realization.
the fuck was that?
And you're not taking that away from me.
Right.
No, and
what the fuck was that?
Sitting in front of you.
Yeah.
And you're not taking that away from me.
Right.
No.
Bro, that scared the fuck out of me. I'm not gonna lie. That was insane.
And by the way, that's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
The realization at one point is that you can try. I have no fear. No fear. And that's why I'm here. More than anything is because I probably, I'm certain that we disagree on a lot of stuff, but there used to be a time, Candace, where you and I could sit down together and disagree about tax policy and disagree about, the Catholic Church's view on abortion.
Somebody's got fucking measles or something. Oh, you know what? I'm fucking dumb as hell.
Or disagree with, whatever the subject may be, and still be able to go have a meal together.
Right. I talk about that often on my show. Like I back when I was left leaning in college, my best friend was Republican conservative. Like it wasn't so at each other's throats and hating each other and wanting to destroy one another. And, you could kind of see the good and the bad and go, well, this is why I have this perspective, and perspectives could change. And that was allowed too. I think about what
does this mean? I don't sorry, but like, it's really difficult. It's really just weird to hear something like this from like a conservative when they're like the most toxic, vile people on earth right now with like MAGA. You know what I mean? It's like, what's your typical left-leaning position? No, yeah, I think we should have some like healthcare. What's your typical right-leaning position? Like, yeah, I fucking hate Hispanic people. I think they're all raping and eating your dogs. I'm sorry. And like, listen, I still have MAGA family and all that, and I get it. But I mean, on the right, people are fucking psychotic. I mean, it is nowhere near the same on the fucking left. And she's insane. She's saying that she's talking to fucking Charlie Kirk's ghost. It's insane.
What it was that, just revisiting what made a lot of people, including myself, so angry about you, or I guess it wasn't really about you, it was the gaslighting. It was the letter that came from people saying it was Russian propaganda. That is what is driving us crazy about the Epstein files right now. It's what's actually leading.
What are you talking about? Trump won't release it. What?
Ironically, to the collapse of the MAGA support is we don't want to be gaslit.
Yeah.
And
who the fuck was saying it was Russian propaganda? What?
To be fair, it wasn't you. That's why it was so refreshing.
Conservatives are getting gaslit. What?
When you were like, yes, I had a crack addiction. This is me. I did this. I was with hookers. Yeah. But you weren't.
I'm not understanding. Everybody like accepted that he was doing that he was like sleeping with hookers and doing cocaine. Like nobody said that otherwise. I don't really understand what like she's talking about. Like nobody said otherwise. They were trying to make it seem like it was this huge fucking like scandal that had like blown up, and like the FBI was suppressing the information because Twitter decided to take it down because it was revenge porn that was basically leaked of him. So we're kind of just like making up arguments. I don't know what the fuck we're talking about.
Weren't speaking for you, and there were literally a bunch of people that were coming out and saying this is not real, and that is the most.
Nobody was saying that. She's literally making that up. Nobody was saying it wasn't real. People were just saying that the conspiracies weren't real. They tried to turn it into like this massive fucking conspiracy campaign. The fuck is she talking about? It's actually so annoying.
Most infuriating thing because everyone's average. Everyone can connect with addiction. Everyone can have this conversation. Actually, if you would come out and I probably in that environment, obviously, maybe there would have been a different result because we were at each other's throats.
No, exactly.
But that is what made people so angry. It was like, nope, he never smoked crack. It wasn't real. The laptop is Russian propaganda. We're like, guys, what is this?
Yeah, by the way, is it...
What the fuck are you talking about? Holy shit.
Here's the problem, is that...
It's crazy because like they've fed themselves the line. They fed themselves like this line that like this is actually the accurate representation. So like the laptop comes out, everybody knows it's just him fucking doing drugs and fucking prostitutes, not a big deal. Conservatives turn it into like, oh, it's this huge thing, and then they start being like, oh, people are just saying it's Russian propaganda. It's like, what? Like maybe it's getting pushed because Russia benefits from not liking Biden or something. And they turn it into something that it's not.
Steve Bannon saved, and Rudy Giuliani saved the quote-unquote laptop, which, by the way, is bullshit. Like, if we can agree on that gaslighting, I will agree on the gaslighting of this, is that there was never a quote-unquote laptop. There was a hard drive of stolen and hacked material, wherever it came from, whether it came from a Delaware repair shop or whether it came, like Lev Parnas says, from Dmitry Firtash, who was trying to sell a hard drive of Hunter Biden's in Ukraine, that they were looking for before the laptop repair shop guy was ever the twinkle in the eye. Just go back and look at the record, okay? So here's the thing, is you're absolutely right. And and this is like the freedom of being able to say this is like, yeah, they should have let me go out and talk.
Yeah.
But it was 2 weeks before the campaign. And then and then the election was over. Steve Bannon goes on and with his buddy Gao, the Chinese billionaire that's now in prison and, that is like a Chinese spy or whatever, where he got arrested on his boat and all that crap. There is go listen to it. Go listen to the recorded conversation in which they say, like, the laptop, like, we got him. We, so we we collected all the salacious pictures and we put them out there. And then Rudy went out and stood on the steps of the Newcastle County Courthouse with Bernie Carrick and said, this contains child exploitation. Like, pure...
Oh, yeah, they just made that part up, too. They said that the prostitute was, like, underage or something.
Pure bullshit. Just bullshit. So on both sides, you have this reaction, which I don't think was necessarily a coordinated reaction in the sense that, what do you do in 2 weeks? And so they come up with this and they say, and I don't get to go out and say, no, I was. But you know what I did? Is that come April, I write a book and I tell everybody I was addicted to crack. And here's my story. And here's what happened. And here is all of the rooms that no one would ever want to admit to being in that I was in. And it was like a blip on the radar because everybody was now fighting about whether there was kind of a suppressed story on Twitter and whether there was this gaslighting from, and by the way, I am not here to defend any of
But then it's
people.
part of like the political machine where they're like, we have 2 weeks to go to the election. We're going to do this denial, because we can't afford.
Well, yeah, they decided to go with that and then they kind of like doubled down on it. So it doesn't exactly help. That's one of the problems in general. That's one of the problems in general that we have when it comes to politics is that a lot of politicians refuse to answer questions in any meaningful capacity. They won't sit down and do it. And a lot of our debates don't really don't exactly provide a productive way to answer questions. I mean, I think that's part of it too. But they won't be honest with people, and it kind of is annoying. Like for COVID, I think is a great example. I think that what could have been really positive and productive is being like, hey, this is a new strain of COVID. Every day, new information is going to come out, and we're going to update you, and we're going to give you the best that we have right now. That would have been really good. That would have been a really good and positive and productive thing to say. Unfortunately, a lot of the narrative was very, very like, intense. And I think that that's a good representation of the way that politicians try to talk to people. And it doesn't exactly help. It doesn't help whatsoever, because then people start to get frustrated with the government when they don't get like an exact honest answer. And I get it. And I think that the Hunter Biden laptop thing is part of that. It was just the dude's cock, and the fact that he was doing cocaine was released, and people had a fucking, a shit fit. It really wasn't that deep, but people like made it to seem like it was that deep,
Or this right now, essentially. Yeah. And then we're going to table this, make it past these 2 weeks. Yeah. And then by that time, first and foremost, your father won, right? Yeah. So, and so people are angry. They feel like the election's been stolen, and that there was this entire collusion to cover a laptop, which if it was on the other side, they may have done too. This is what DC is. It's politics. But that is where I think the anger came from. Yeah. And it was just like, I get it. How dare you gaslight us? And then people then start making you this focal point of,
it never had anything to do with me.
Right. It was kind of bigger than you at that point.
You know what the laptop proved?
That you were a crackhead.
There you go.
That you were deep in the throes of crack addiction.
All this other bullshit, bribery and all these other things that they investigated up and down during the Trump administration with a Trump-appointed U.S. attorney, with the Trump-appointed U.S. attorney, the only U.S. attorney in the country to stay on and continue to prosecute me, who then became special counsel after I got a plea deal. Because I paid my taxes late, and I paid them with penalties and interest, and I owned a gun for 11 days, while they say I was addicted and check that box. That's it. Everybody has all the information. It's not like the Department of Justice has my digital footprint in every text message, every email. And there's not a single one in which you find that would in any way supports the really serious accusations of enriching my father, enriching himself somehow, or none of it. None of it's there. So I own whatever you want to call it. I own the laptop. Come, you know what? We can go.
Come? What the fuck?
Through it together. If you're willing to avert your eyes to the tragedy of addiction. I mean, just the absolute tragedy of it.
Yeah.
But man, oh man, there is no space for that in discourse anymore. There's no space for the nuance of, well, that was addiction. That wasn't corruption.
There is a bit of an irony that you're talking to the person who kind of is the lack of nuance,
I did not do any business through entire 4 years. I became a painter. You know why I became a painter?
Probably because it was cathartic for you.
Because it literally saved my life. I painted my whole life. And Melissa instinctively knew that I literally needed to occupy my hands in early recovery, 12 hours a day. Just, to be able to focus on not the crushing weight of the consequences of years of addiction. And so I just sat and I painted and I painted and I painted. And I decided to have a show in the gallery. And, and offer my paintings for sale. And the New York Post comes out and says, Hunter Biden's selling his paintings for $500,000. I've never sold a painting nor offered a painting for $500,000 in my friggin' life. And by the way, everybody knows this, because every painting that I sold, everybody that bought a painting had to pay about $250,000 to defend themselves before an impeachment hearing. Go read the transcripts of people under oath. But regardless, is the laptop absolutely proved nothing, but it became this cultural touchstone. It was well,
it didn't have to be 10% of the laptop shit is actually accurate. It didn't have to prove anything, because conservatives don't require facts. This is the problem. This is the atmosphere that we exist in, and I still think it's a good play for him to talk to one of the insane conservatives that just say whatever the fuck she wants about him. But that's kind of what it is, unfortunately. There we go.
It embodied the Biden crime family. And if you wanted to be able to believe that, not wanted to be able to believe that. If you believe that because you're being told that by people that you trust, that have told you that your election
like Candace Owens,
stolen, your democracy was thwarted, that the process was unfair, is that all you had to do, and I get this, is look at the pictures. It doesn't look like a good guy to me.
Right. Because you weren't a good guy in the pictures.
No.
Yeah.
Smoking crack in a motel room with a prostitute.
Right.
It's kind of more like a cool guy, am I right? Yeah, I mean, this is true. I liked what he's saying, because he's giving not Candace, but he's giving like Candace Owens's audience an out, right? Like people should keep that in mind. Like he's giving them an out. He's telling them like the people that you trusted, they were the ones who like betrayed you when it came to these narratives. You know what I mean? Like it's not your fault. It's the fault of the people who spun these ridiculous fucking narratives. And I think that that's the good thing. That's going to be like a really good thing for them to hear, because then it takes away the blame from them. And some people just need that. There's a lot of people who simply cannot come to terms with the fact that like they are the problem. They just can't do it. They can't be held accountable. And so like if you're trying to tell your fucking mom or your dad who voted Trump like a fucking idiot that believed all like the vaccine lies and every other fucking dumbass lie, and you know the lies that Trump pushed about you know, Ukraine somehow starting the war in their own country or anything, you know, now they have an out. Oh, the people that you trusted lied to you. Why did you trust them in the first place? It's fucking insane to me. But the people who you trusted lied to you. It's not really your fault. You get to have a bit of an out.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like they come out and like they're saying, oh, like this, like I admit it all. Not only admit it all, I own it all. I will own everything, the worst of it, all of it.
And then being like, I mean, now in retrospect, and things have changed. I mean, times have changed. Like I said, I was one of the chief people that was really angry about it, and it did.
Yeah.
That was the exact reason why when I re-examined it, it was the gaslighting.
And now, Candace gets to play a game where it's like, yeah, I was one of the people that was really upset and got worked up, but you know, it's not really my fault. But like, you know what? Now I forgive you, because it's politically convenient for her to forgive him, of course.
It's the same reason why I'm angry with Trump over the Epstein thing. It's like I can't come back.
That's a valid thing to be upset with.
Back from media gaslighting. The Trump thing is worse because it came from his own mouth.
Or maybe Candace really is just a complete fucking moron. Maybe that's why. And she's just so like unable to understand what the fuck's going on around her that she's like really worked up, you know?
Gaslighting. So it wasn't like people trying to cover it up. It was like Trump being like, what Epstein files? Are we still talking about the Epstein files? And so, but then things kind of changed, I think, with time also, because I was definitely say I was close with Don Jr., traveled a lot with him through the Hunter Biden laptop scandal. We talked about it, this corruption, dude, I didn't
even, do you hear what she's doing right now? Do you guys see what she's doing right now? She's saying through the Hunter laptop scandal, she was with Don Jr. a lot, and what she's implying there is that he fed her a bullshit narrative. It's not her fault. It's the Trump's fault. Like, she's turned on them. And I can respect it because of the Epstein shit, but I mean, that's what this is.
I did all these photos coming out, and then we get whatever this...
Because like the idea is like, oh, we were on a plane together, and you know, he was telling me all these things, and they weren't true, but I believed them because it's Trump. What a trustworthy guy, you know. What a trust with the Trumps. They're so trustworthy, you know.
You know, Trump family is now, and it's like, man, I think it was a historian that wrote on X exactly how I feel, which is I wish I could go back to the days where I thought like Hunter Biden's art was the most corrupt deal that was done in politics, and now we're going, okay. You know, we stood behind Trump, we fought, we shared the photos of Hunter Biden to the extent that we could, and now we have their family engaged in so many corrupt deals, the meme coins, the taking advantage of people, and you go, okay, well, what we actually have is DC is corrupt, politics is corrupt, and I think it is kind of a unifying point, not to excuse, you know, the gaslighting of people for 2 weeks, which made people super angry, but I do think it's just a different time where people are kind of going back and examining, and I feel actually terrible realizing that you were finally clean, and then it's just this humiliation ritual.
I mean, she's not wrong. Everything that she's saying is a fact. I think Candace Owens is one of the most terrifying people that I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, unironically. Because she knows how to be incredibly fucking stupid when she needs to be, and she knows how to be incredibly fucking smart when she needs to be. One day she's talking about how she's having sex with the ghost of Charlie Kirk. The next day she's sitting here having a deep conversation about how Trump is hiding the fucking Epstein files from people, and how it's actually not her fault for believing in the exaggerated Hunter Biden laptop story, because, you know, she was sitting next to Donald Trump Jr. on the plane, and he was the one feeding her all the information and the narrative. And it's just, she's fucking like, she unironically is kind of scary. She kind of is scary, dude. It's fucking crazy.
Over and over and over again of people putting everything out there and not realizing also your kids are facing this consequence as well, which people do not think about a lot of times when they publish stories. Like, I even was reticent and didn't cover the Chrissy Nome thing because the first thing that came to my mind...
do they have kids?
Was their kids. Like, I'm like, these are kids that are about to go to college. Like, and so, and why are they doing this? Because she's in politics, right? And so this becomes, they don't think about the children. And...
You think it's like moments of clarity? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think now that I have kids too, I think there's just like, wow, they don't sign up for what I do for podcasting. Kids don't sign up for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you know, number one, though, kids are way more resilient than you think. They're so much tougher. And I know my girls, I have like, and they love me and deeply. And I can 100% accept that love now and
That's nice.
return it with everything that I have to offer. But part of what you're describing is politics in memoriam, part of it. But something's changed, Candace. There is a meanness, a willingness
Yeah, I think that the internet's impact and Trump have changed it pretty drastically. 100%.
to adopt some very, very un-American tactics against our opponents because it become a zero-sum game. It's not just that I disagree with you. It's you need to be punished. You need to be punished for what you believe. There's this incredible show. I really want to meet them one day. I don't know if you listened to it. It's called The Necessary Conversation. Have you listened to that?
Mm-mm.
Incredible. It's a brother and a sister who are progressives.
Oh, is that the fucking mom and dad? A Necessary Conversation. It is, dude. That's so interesting. That fucking Hunter Biden is watching Necessary Conversation. Holy fuck. Wait, why didn't they get a boost from this? It's these people.
Welcome to the Necessary Conversation.
I see them all the time. And I like their stuff. It's fun. They're fun. Their moms and dad are fucking crazy though. Here's just an example of it.
Why do you think 8 million people never came out to protest Obama or Biden?
Because I think right now in our country, there are some crazy people.
Yeah, true.
There's crazies.
Yeah, true.
You're not comprehending.
I'm asking you a question that you're simply not answering at all.
What?
Why do you think there was never a protest against Obama or Biden that had 8 million people in it?
Oh, there were.
No, there weren't.
There weren't.
Just saying things.
Yes, they were quietly within themselves.
Internal protests, you think?
Yeah, so this is the podcast. That's so crazy.
One lives in LA and one lives in Austin. Something like that. And she runs a bakery. His sister and a mom and dad. And they are ultra MAGA. And I think they're in, Missouri somewhere. Okay. And I mean, don't take their caps off. Trump literally can do no wrong. He's playing 4D chess on the Epstein thing. I know he said no war in Iran, but, he must have a reason for it. And you can't convince, literally, but they have this conversation. And they have real issues with each other. The daughter gets really mad at dad. Dad, you were a jerk to us when we were kids. You made me. But then she has this conversation with her mom who loves animals and taught her about empathy. And they would adopt all, these animals and they would.
I think that's one of the most insane things to me is that the people who taught me how to be an empathetic, loving, productive person are MAGA brain fucked. That's crazy to me. People who put a lot of energy and effort into their family, they voted for the guy that's done nothing productive. I think I like to think that now they're going oop, we were tricked. But what the fuck have we gotten out of the Trump administration? Inflation, more wars. They didn't release the Epstein files because he's in them. What do we got? Nothing. It's fucking crazy.
And you find out her dad taught or coached all of their little league games, and she was a softball player. And if a kid couldn't afford the uniform, dad would quietly go out and buy the uniform. And he's awful on this thing, by the way. He's and in terms of the way that he speaks and speaks to them, and he's tough, and I don't give a shit, and drop a bomb on them, kind of
Mm-hmm.
But it's so informative. Is that before? That's a normal family.
Mm-hmm.
That's a thing. Before, you and I could meet at a restaurant in Georgetown, and your husband and my wife, and we could have dinner together. And with Tucker, I knew Tucker, you know what I mean? And you could have dinner together and think that what Tucker was saying was crazy. I don't agree with, and I don't agree with, half the stuff. But you know what it didn't mean? It didn't mean that I thought
it's got to appeal to the Tucker Carlson. You know what I mean?
That he should be tried for treason and executed.
Yeah, they got to own the libs.
And that's what happened to me. And I mean that not figuratively. I mean it literally. That's what people were saying. And that's what people of real importance were saying.
Yeah, people were saying that too about Mike Pence after Trump incited an insurrection and then pardoned the people, and then now he's trying to give them $2 billion. And need any more proof that he wanted an insurrection to happen?
Those were the words that were coming out of the mouth, and I'm paraphrasing, of people like Steve Bannon and people like Rudy Giuliani, people of authority. And it changes everything. is how can you even have a discussion? For instance, how could I go out and talk about, how could I respond? Was that cocaine mine? Like, what do you want? You want me to take a drug test? Because I'm taking a drug test almost weekly for the Department of Corrections and probation. I have a probation officer. I'm on release.
Wonder if he's a nice guy,
until trial. But what do you do? Is that the statement that you make to the New York Post? It's impossible. It becomes impossible. So what do? You realize this, and I don't know if you feel this way in your own life, is that you know what the real problem is? It's not out there. It's not that person. If I could just get Steve Bannon to tell the truth, if I could just get Rudy Giuliani to stop lying about me, if I could just get Konstantin Kulak to say that he wrote it's not there. You realize in order to survive, it's all inside. Every single piece of it is about figuring out how to love yourself, not live in that shame. And in order for you to be able to be of service first, starts,
That makes sense. I understand what he's saying. He's saying that like these other variables aren't going to change. I'm not going to be able to convince, they're not going to do any of these favors for me. I just have to kind of endure it and get over it. The lies that they're telling me, and I have to be stronger inside and just like hope for my opportunity in the future where I will, in some capacity, be able to advocate and defend myself, or like something will happen like this, basically like this, where there's the Candace Owens podcast and people will finally see that I wasn't this terrible, horrible person. Like people on the right will start to see that.
Melissa, like return the beautiful thing that she gave me, which was a chance to be of service to my dad, to return the unconditional love, which is not love without consequences, not love without accountability. It's just knowing that no matter what, even through the consequences and being held accountable, that person still loves me.
All right, you guys, when I think about
all right, what's the new ad?
the future, I picture the little moments that matter most: family dinners, bedtime
with cigarettes,
stories, lazy Sundays at home. The people that we love are the center of everything that we're building. But there's one conversation that so many of us put off, and that's usually
is that like life
surrounding what would happen
stuff?
If we were not here.
Yeah.
That's really what life insurance is about. It's about making sure your family is protected, supported, and able to move forward no matter what life brings. And honestly, getting covered today is so much easier than most people think. That's why I love Ethos. With Ethos, you can apply online in just minutes. No medical exams, no waiting rooms, just answer a few health questions and you could be covered the very same day. And what really stands out to me is that Ethos helps match you with coverage that actually fits your life, your goals, and your budget. With up to $3 million in coverage and plans starting around $30 a month, protecting your family can feel a whole lot more doable because peace of mind should not be complicated. So get your free instant quote today at ethos.com/Candace. Again, that's ethos.com/Candace. Application times and rates may vary. I also want to tell you guys about Native Path because this episode is brought to you by Native Path's grass-fed collagen for better bones, joints, skin.
It's always like skincare stuff. I it's interesting. I never see and I guess I don't watch like a whole lot of left media, but I don't really see like a bunch of like, oh, skincare, collagen, blah, 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 blah. How come like skincare and fucking vitamins are so popular for like these right-wing podcasts? Like, do these people think that they're just like so horribly fucking ugly or something? I really don't. I really don't understand it.
Skin, hair, and nails. Have you noticed that your skin is losing some of its glow? Maybe your nails and your hair are feeling weaker.
Maybe it's because it's older people. Maybe it's because older people and they're the ones that want to like losing their skin and their hair and their nails.
That it's easier to tweak a joint or pull a muscle. Well, right around age 30, our bodies start producing less collagen every year. And by the time most people reach 60, they've lost about half. That's why I use Native Path Collagen. It was created by Chad Walding, a doctor of physical therapy who spent years trying to find a clean collagen supplement for his patients. And when he couldn't, he
We're allowed to trust doctors? What the fuck?
decided to make one himself. The label has one ingredient with no fillers, no additives, and is third-party tested. It only takes 10 seconds to add to my routine, and it dissolves instantly in any beverage. So if you want stronger nails, healthier looking skin, less joint discomfort, and even improved DEXA scans, go to getnativepath.com/Candace right now. There's a special discount plus free shipping for my listeners today. Again, that's getnativepath.com/Candace. I think that was also what came across in your interview with Andrew Callahan, where after I watched it, I think it sort of edited my opinion about that relationship between your dad, because I think since the laptop scandal, in my mind, it was I guess a bit cartoonish, where it was like, well, you can do whatever you want. Go ahead, smoke crack. We're just powerful. We'll cover it. We'll do it. Like, that's the whatever. We have so much power. We've acquired so much power. Yeah. And then when I sort of saw you really defend.
Acquired so much power. What the fuck does that mean? Bro, if I had the money, I'd fucking defend my drug addict's kid too. I don't give a fuck. I would use my nepotism to do it too. And nobody thinks otherwise. You know what I mean? Like, that's preposterous.
And your dad over this George Clooney thing, I was like, okay, this is just a normal father-son relationship.
That's so funny to me. It's like, I thought that you were such a fucking asshole. And then George Clooney, you didn't like that guy because he was a Democrat. And then I was like, oh, I like this guy. You know what I mean? It's like, that's all it took for you. That's fucking crazy. What the hell? Oh.
Like, people can't apply that for some reason when you're talking about a president or somebody that has access to power, but he just loves his dad. And this is the way any normal person would defend their dad. If they said something about your father, if they said something about your son, like, this is so normal that I think that's what was a bit arresting for me. I was like, this is very normal dynamic. He doesn't care if Jake Tapper's on his side. He doesn't care if George Clooney is on his side. That's his dad that you're talking about. And he's having a natural reaction that I would have if someone was talking about my dad, my grandparents, my sister, my cousin, even when they do something wrong, by the way. Like, it's like, okay, no, but like, that's my family member who did something
and
wrong.
Your kids.
And so you have no right, and I will breathe fire on someone. And that's kind of, and you're right. And now it's getting dirtier. The games people are playing are dirtier, and it is about wanting you to feel unsafe. And I think that is something that is so new.
Yeah, that's crazy, dude. She's like the dirtiest of them all, man. Dude, again, like, I don't like Charlie Kirk or Erica Kirk, you know, but I mean, she's fucking talking about seeing the guy's fucking ghost. It's insane. What are you talking about? It's getting dirtier. You guys are the dirty. You guys are the ones getting dirtier, dude. What the fuck is going on here?
When you have,
it's crazy. She could just opt out. She's just opting out of her like insanity. She's like, yeah, it's getting dirtier, man. What the hell's going on with that? It's you, Candace. No, it's not me. I don't know what you're talking about. It's like, okay, it's crazy, dude.
People posting your address, posting where you are, knowing that you have children, and yeah, I really do believe, and it is over perspective. Like, for me, it was me changing my mind on Israel, and suddenly I'm getting the New York Post treatment, and I'm getting all these people coming after me, and I'm going, this is my perspective. You're welcome to try to debate me on why I feel the way I feel about, which is because I have two eyes about what's happening in Gaza. But to do these tactics where you're trying to destroy people that feels very, very new to me.
Yeah,
it's kind of crazy because like there's like a lot of like frustration when it comes to like Israel and stuff. Like, I think they spent $32 million to make it so that Thomas Massie, a Republican, wouldn't win because he was anti-Israel, like Israeli involvement, and he was also against what is it? Oh, he wanted their Epstein files to get released, so they spent $32 million, like Trump and all them, to get him so that he would lose his spot, and they barely were able to do it. It's fucking crazy. Where apparently, like, the average amount of money that you'll spend in those areas is like $500,000. It's fucking crazy, man. It's fucking crazy.
Let's be not let's be honest. I hate that phrase. Okay, I got it from my perspective. Is this? I know where that started, and that started when Donald Trump, from rally stages, started the "Where's Hunter?" Started to yell, "Where's Hunter?" Call and response crowds, and then they printed T-shirts, and then they made hats. And then they made mugs of "Where's Hunter?" And then they showed up my door. I didn't have any security. I didn't have anybody. I can't afford that in my life, particularly at that time. And they literally showed up my door with bullhorns and mega hats. And on the direct, and the way that they got there is the New York Post published on the front page, on its cover, an aerial view of my home with the address, and then in the things, and if you stand here at this, on this part of the street, you can see, and there are floor-to-ceiling windows, and and so they showed up.
Wow.
And Melissa was 6 months pregnant at the time. She got in the car, and she was alone at the time, and sped off, and they followed her, and they ran her off the road. She panicked.
That's crazy. I didn't even know about any of this. This is fucking insane.
And then she got, and they did it again, and they surrounded her, and that's new, man.
That is new.
And
was that why he got a divorce? Was that before they got divorced, or no? That must have been a different time. That doesn't make any sense. I'm thinking of like the timeline incorrectly.
Like, similar to you, is it like before I sat down, I heard where you live, what the level of security that you have or didn't have, and what your perimeter of your property is like. How the hell do I know that? And how is that even remotely safe? Because you have people who now you basically spoke your truth, and they decided that you cannot exist. And so therefore, I don't know what's going to happen, but for some reason, I think it's appropriate for me to say, tell you what Candace's address is, who lives there, and the level of security she
Tim
has.
Pool doing that was one of the most, it was so obvious what he was doing.
My dad said to me, I have to stop saying the F word.
The fuck? Why did the audio get lower all of a sudden?
But it was like, seriously, that to me was like, it's a declaration of war.
Is that what Tim Pool did? He put a signal on where he was from.
Or like, they know I homeschool my kids. They know, and he's describing the security apparatus, and he's doing it in this rant, trying to be impassioned about the fact that I don't support Israel or I don't support Eric, whatever his motivation was. there is zero reason that you would be describing the perimeter of my house outside of wanting someone to get harmed. And like, first of all, like, I'm not like Tucker Carlson, and I say this to people all the time. That's why I get so worried, because when Tucker gets accosted in public, he just has this like total happy warrior demeanor. I will claw someone's eyes out for my kids. Like, I am not the property to try. We will shoot you. Like, I will shoot you, and I will kill you, and I will happily go to prison before you have one opportunity to even make me. And I'm not even going to think about whether you're going to hurt my kids.
You sound exactly like
that's me. That's just me. And I've said it over and over on my podcast. I will smile in my mugshot, okay, because I did the right thing, and I have no qualms about that. So when he did that, I was like, okay, this little beanie boy, little beanie boy. I see exactly.
Little beanie boy is crazy.
Exactly what you're doing. The whole world sees what you're doing, and you are doing something because you want my children to get harmed. And then if something happens to them, you're going to go, well, I don't know how that happened. As I was describing the perimeter of her home and talking about what her security is, which was inaccurate.
Candace, but that's like, what are we even talking about? That's exactly why they do it. Is that even if the chance is this small, the reason that they do it is exactly that, is to make you really afraid, not for yourself, for your 4 kids, for your family, for the people that work around you. It's like, and by the way, I'll tell you, is that I have the same approach that I think Tucker has to it, which is, and I don't know, which is basically like, I can handle, like, I can diffuse a situation. I can do it. Melissa, people kill you.
Yeah, I'll kill you, and I'll ask questions later.
And she did exactly the same. And you know what really worries me? Is all of a sudden, we're all talking about violence. Like, you're talking about violence. Violence is defense, but now you're talking about the violence. And then they kind of like go, oh, you're gaslighting us. This is bullshit. You're fine. You're really rich, and you this and that. You can take care of yourself. It's like, bullshit. Did you see what just happened to my best friend?
Yeah. Like, I mean, we just
what are
watched
you talking
Charlie
about?
and he had a full security apparatus.
Yeah.
We still don't know what happened to Charlie Kirk.
He was assassinated. Somebody shot him. Somebody shot him because he was, and they shouldn't have, but because he was a very hateful, vitriolic person. So that's not a justifier, but that is what happened.
There's zero interest. That's another thing that just completely, for me, was like done with Trump whatsoever. Like, I mean, there's just no way for someone who came from the inside and watched the work that Charlie did to get these people elected. Don Jr.
I'm pretty sure she was never like, she was like friends with Charlie Kirk like 5 years before he was killed, and then like he was like distancing himself from her because she was kind of fucking crazy.
It was like a brother to Charlie, literally like a brother to him.
Yeah.
And to see the Trump brothers, to see Donald Trump himself, Kash Patel, who Charlie pushed for him to lead the FBI, had him on his podcast, JD Vance, like, came out of nowhere. Charlie was like not sleeping to make that happen. And to see all of these people have zero interest in the obvious holes in the story, even if ultimately the holes get filled and there's a picture that makes sense, which I put that at 0.
Someone shot him. That makes sense to me, yeah.
0% chance. But let's just, the fact that they have zero interest and they're just accepting the narrative, like what this has done to me, and I've said this, I'm just done with politics. I'm just done with politics because I can't even.
What does that mean, she's done with politics? I don't understand what that means. Is she actually like done with politics? Is she not talking about it? What does it mean? Apparently she talked to Myron Games 4 months ago. Incredible. We're done with politics. Yes, she is? I don't know. Hunter Biden returns. Suspicious. More bizarre details from WHCD. Okay, so it's all politics. White House. Okay, she's not done with politics. I don't really understand why she's saying that. But okay. Hunter Biden's got a YouTube channel, though. That's cool. I guess she's just shifting. I don't know. Maybe she is.
Even begin to comprehend it. And again, that element of gaslighting that's happening here, where they're pretending that the people who are noticing that none of this is making sense are the crazy ones, and everyone else who's like, nope, turn the chapter, a week later, it's all solved.
Yeah. What doesn't make sense? You want to know what doesn't make sense, dude? I don't understand. What is it that she's saying doesn't make sense? Is like, how did the kid get there or something? I don't know. Maybe Charlie Kirk's security didn't give a fuck because he's an asshole. Who knows? I don't know. Like, I have no fucking idea. I still don't understand, like, what is the what is this? What is the thing to question here? What are we doing here?
And this is how it went down, and none of it makes sense. But just accept this slop. It is the most infuriating thing, and it's just fully removed the scales in my eyes. And I've stopped with this left versus right, Democrat versus Republican. I'm like, this is sheer evil versus good. This is like sheer evil.
But by the way, for real, exactly.
That's fucking crazy. She's so insane. I will say though, I like Hunter Biden. I like the part of Hunter Biden where he's not like he's not like a cuck. Because you'll see a lot of people do like the both sides thing, or rather, when they want to have a conversation with a conservative, they'll fucking like guzzle their shit, and that always drives me fucking nuts and pisses me off. But she's not doing that, if that makes sense. He's not doing that. He's like talking to her and he's like finding common ground. But it's not like turning into this whole fucking dumbass bullshit where he's conceding every single like reasonable point to her. He's still pushing back. He mentioned like the election fraud lightly before. I don't know if you guys caught it. Like that's obviously, it's a bullshit narrative that Trump is pushing, and like he's pushing back against the laptop. He's just finding common ground. So I appreciate that, because I hate it when people like mega fucking like dick suck the other side just so that they can appear like they're good. So I like the way that he's able to find common ground and talk to her, instead of playing like the centrist game. He's not compromising what he believes in order to have a conversation with her. But he's like finding common ground. What the fuck? That scared the shit out of me. He's finding common ground.
Exactly. Exactly. It is good versus evil.
Yeah.
They have torn the mask off of this. I said to you before, is that I pray to God that by the end of this, that you think of me as a friend, because if anything ever happened to me, I want you and Melissa team up.
Yeah, I want you saying that you see my ghost. That's what I want.
Like, oh my God.
Of it's not happening with Charlie Kirk.
And the criticism of you for asking the questions for someone who was like a brother to you is like, what the F are you talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I mean, listen, I say jerk off that narrative. Let people think that she's being reasonable with this Charlie Kirk thing, because she's so fucking unhinged. Like, you know what I mean? Let the right eat their own, finally. It's fucking crazy.
That's the gaslighting. It's like, how dare you?
Maybe she says she's done with team sports and politics. I guess. She's not done with any of that. She's an opportunist. She's going to do whatever she needs to do to be like popular in some capacity. That's all she is doing. But that might be what she's saying. She's pretending to me. And true.
You're coming from someone who you've attacked and you've politically, you've had all of your criticism, which I have no problem with, and we disagree on so many things. But I listen to you and I go, right on. Like
right
Epstein,
on.
like you want to figure out why they don't want to let the release all the Epstein files? All you got to do is literally look at a picture of Trump standing on his stage at his inauguration and look behind him.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like
true.
Every single person.
He's protecting his donor.
Well, I don't know if you guys know this. There's like legitimate proof that Trump is still friends with Epstein. So this is not an AI picture at all that Trump posted. And I don't know if you could see this too well. You may not be able to see it super well. But this is Trump healing Jeffrey Epstein, right? So this is definitely Trump as Jesus Christ, which is totally not blasphemous at all. And he posted this picture of him healing Jeffrey Epstein, who raped a bunch of little girls and stuff. Isn't that crazy? Wow, that's so beautiful. Proof? I think so. That's crazy stuff, dude. The crazy world we're living in here.
Owners, without question.
I mean, it's crazy. Like Paolo Zampoli and this and that and the other thing and all of these things. It's like, okay. And by the way, anyway, my point is it's like, when are people going to kind of wake up to the fact, and it's not left or right. This is a really, really horrible group of people that are pulling strings that impact us all, and they make us think that because you and I disagree on the graduated tax rate or some social issue, is that we are sworn enemies. Not just like sworn enemies. That I deserve violence.
And I could see them, and it does seem like both sides have woken up without question. My audience is now split, and I still say what I believe. I haven't changed my position on abortion. I'm Catholic. I have, there's nothing that has changed. I think they're just hearing me for the first time. And I do think there was something about the Charlie Kirk assassination that everyone just sort of looked up. We just sort of all looked up at the machine and was like, wait a second, what is this? Because they expected Trump to be ride or die. They expected cash. I mean, wow, this is going to be solved in the clearest way possible, because the entire political apparatus that has the power in the Department of Justice is in the hands of Charlie Kirk's friends. Like, that was how I felt, right? This is it. No, whoever did this is never going to get away with it, because these are Charlie's friends. And what did we get?
Well, we know who did it. She's just being fucking crazy. But I will say, one of the things, if I was like a super like Charlie Kirk guy, if I was Charlie Kirk and I wanted to carry his flame, I would be super fucking concerned with the fact that Trump did not have a single fucking issue. He really didn't care that Charlie was assassinated, right? Like, what's the whole Jimmy Kimmel thing over? The whole Jimmy Kimmel thing was over the fact that like Kimmel made a joke about how Donald Trump was asked about how he's feeling after like that Charlie Kirk was assassinated, and his response was to start talking about his ballroom. You know, and I do love a good ball pit at McDonald's, but it's just gross. You know, there's a bunch of yucky germs in there. Instead of giving like an actual like, oh yeah, like I'm so upset, blah, 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 blah. There was nothing there. So that's one of the things that I would be really pissed off about if I was like a Kirkster, you know?
They're the people that Charlie Kirk made.
Charlie Kirk made these people. That's exactly right. You led a youth revolution to get these people elected in power. He was ride or die to...
The level of disloyalty or fear, I don't know what it is.
Disloyalty?
Is
disloyalty may be guided by fear, but it's
so
still disloyalty.
disturbing.
It's disturbing. And I cannot forgive Trump, the Trump family, what they have done or what they have not done for Charlie.
Can I keep one of these?
Yeah.
First?
Yeah. And I'm full on. I'm like, call me a conspiracy. I'm like you, where I'm like, oh, what is the shame tactic of the day? You're calling me a conspiracy theorist. Great. I'm like, you'd be a fool to believe the stuff that they're telling us today. The stories are telling us. I mean, it is something that
I'll agree with that. You'd be a fool to believe anything Trump is saying to you. It took you guys like 12 years, but good job.
That is just so disturbing. And I think that...
Isn't it so crazy though? Like, isn't it kind of fucked up that somebody like Candace Owens can do like a mega fucking like MAGA grift, and she could just opportunistically walk out conveniently and she still looks like a reasonable person? Like, that's probably the most fucked part. But the people who have been trying to like actually, you know, remain intelligent and consistent, go fuck yourself. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, you know, you can suck a fucking dick, man. You know what I mean? Like, she got the cash on the popularity, and now she looks like a fucking super-based, intelligent person, which she's not. It's fucking insane to me.
The Charlie assassination has just so crazy, like, because he was so Republican, conservative, but I think it's brought people together in a productive way.
Yeah. Look, I'm here, and you're here, and I really think that we're not unique. You know, I think very, very kind of emblematic is that, like, let's put the past, you know, not behind us. Like, I'll explain anything you want. I'll talk about anything that you want to talk about that you still have questions about, or that anybody is it. But like, this isn't right. This what we're witnessing right now is not right.
Mm-hmm.
The level of corruption, the obfuscation, I mean, whether it's Butler or Charlie or these things that it's just not right. And I mean, it's so glaringly not right. It's almost as if they're just saying,
F
like,
you.
F you.
They're not even trying.
Care.
We don't even get good psyops anymore. And that's what I keep saying. I'm like, it's so disrespectful that we're not even getting good psyops anymore. Like, we're supposed to believe. What
was the good psyop? Let me just give an example.
He survived 4 assassination attempts. The first president that's ever survived 4 assassination attempts.
Yeah.
They lie to us about things. They make a big deal, and then they make it want to, you know, it's going to go away. They're going to keep pretending and telling us that this is a totally normal grieving widow. Okay, no one's buying that. Like, something's just not right here. Everyone.
This crazy. Bro, Candace Owens is unironically the fucking most like destructive thing that ever happened to the right. She was able to like prop up people on the right so heavy, and now she's flipping on a dime, like pushing conspiracy theories like Erica Kirk didn't love her husband, or that Trump was trying to, Trump actually set up the assassinations to make himself look good. Like weird theories that like he did the last one so that he could justify trying to get Congress to give him money for his ballroom, and, you know, or distract from, you know, the Epstein list and all these crazy conspiracy theories that it would be insane for anybody to possibly believe. But like, Candace is pushing them. She's pushing all these conspiracy theories completely. Like, who the fuck would ever even think some of the crazy stuff like this? I don't even know. It's fucking wild.
Can see that this is not how you would react to your husband being shot, and this sort of just, I'm fine, and I like 2 weeks later I fully accept the narrative. I have no interest in anything else. It's over.
Well, you know, like, all jokes aside, I think that what it makes sense that Erica Kirk was in a lavender marriage with Charlie. Like, Charlie was a closet homosexual, and I'm not saying that to be insulting. I'm saying that because like it's, I don't know, pretty clear to me. And I think that Erica is also a closet homosexual. I think that she's an autistic, you know, masculine butch lesbian, and I think that's a beautiful thing. And I'd love to watch whatever she does with her next partner. But I think that that's what that is, and I think that like they maybe had a friendship, but they weren't really on the same, you know, page. And I think that that makes the most sense to me. So,
let's close it. I forgive him. Let's move on. You're asking us to abandon our common sense and our humanity is what you're asking us to do. And that kind of seems like where we're at. Like, they're insisting on this. And I'm going, where is this going to go? Because we're not doing the thing they want us to do. Like they are just constantly giving us slop all the time. I mean, even the recent White House Correspondents' Dinner, there was so much theater to it after, so much theater. And now it's kind of, okay, Secret Service maybe shot each other and we're just going to kind of quietly move on. But Trump needs the ballroom. Like that's a normal reaction. Hey, there's a shooting duck. Hey, well, we better get that ballroom.
And by the way, it's going to cost $1 billion now. And by the way, it's not from donors. And by the way, we're going to do it. Like, it's just the constant, like, talk about gaslighting.
It's actually really funny. This whole ballroom situation is gone into the most corrupt path that it possibly could, and I want to explain that. And we'll put aside the conspiracy theory that the last shooting was orchestrated by Trump to justify asking for congressional money, because that's ridiculous. But if you look at it, originally there's this ballroom, and it was going to be made by private donors. So what does that mean? That means that private donors have and it's an unnecessary ballroom. Private donors have the ability to give Trump money so that they can get political favors. Like that opens you up for some type of corruption, right? It's the same way where we know for a fact, because everything was released, that Trump was investing into like NVIDIA, and he decided to allow NVIDIA to sell AI chips to China, which we weren't doing because of national security concerns, so that he can inflate his own pockets, right? That's something Trump factually did because he's not corrupt at all, right? But now Trump's asking for money for the ballroom from taxes, which is just a waste of taxpayer dollars. So now it's just as corrupt as it possibly can. And that's not even getting into the slush fund he's trying to create for the January 6ers who attacked the Capitol, which is weird because I thought Antifa started that. So I don't really know why he wants to bail out Antifa, but I don't know, man. There's a lot of fuck shit going on. That's actually a good point. I forgot that she was very close friends with the rapist Tates, and she made videos talking about how the victims are liars. True, fair enough.
Yeah. We're not even. Are we even a year into Trump's second term?
We're a little over a year.
A little over a year in second term, and I don't think there's just been. I'm like, how are we going to deal with 4 years of just being gaslit every 5 seconds and told that?
Well, that's how the last administration was. I don't really, but okay. Just going to get the same thing we got for 4 years.
But MAGA, literally MAGA, is not MAGA anymore. And what was actually never Trump, which was actually pro-Hillary Clinton, if you think about it, that's now MAGA. It's literally people who have been against Trump the entire time who are lecturing us about this stuff, like the Mark Levins and the Ben Shapiros, and like, we're MAGA, and the Laura Loomers, like, we're MAGA now. Okay, great, then I'm not MAGA. Like, I've never agreed with these people. I am opposed to
Ben's taking a real fucking hit, dude. He's taking a real fucking hit.
These people's ideas. I am opposed to unleashing an actual lunatic who has had to be Baker acted and put on Psych 5150 holds by her own parents who fear her. I'm opposed to that actually being unleashed upon the population.
Melissa always uses that 5150. I had that. She goes, that person's going to get 5150. Like, what are you talking about? What's 5150?
And you're telling us this is MAGA now. Like, this is what we do. And so it's been a challenging time, because you do have to have like the humility to admit that I'm quite embarrassed
Candace,
about it.
The President of the United States of America has posted images of himself as a king, I think, half a dozen times now.
Yeah.
Like, when are people going to wake up and go, okay, like, if that's what you want, and by the way, if that's what you want.
Oh yeah, she justified Harvey Weinstein too, yeah.
Then you know what? I know that there is a the vast majority of Americans, but some that are really going to really have a problem.
Yeah.
Really have a problem.
I am MAGA.
God forbid. And this whole thing is that we all need allies now, because they do have an enormous amount of power. One of the things that I always think about is that it's so easy to silence people, but it would be particularly easy, for instance, to go like if someone, like the whole cocaine in the White House thing. By the way, I look at your premise is that, like, you can believe whatever you want to believe, but I know my truth, and that's all I can do.
And you preferred crack anyways.
100%. Okay, and I would
the
not.
evidence is
And by the way,
overwhelming.
I would not have forgotten it in a cubby.
Not if you're crawling on
to
the
go
floor.
into this.
I told you, it's a good argument. Oh, you think that I was going to forget fucking coke or crack in my own shit? You think I was going to forget about it? It's kind of a funny, but also kind of like a valid. You know what I mean? Like, you think like this idea that Hunter Biden left like fucking coke or whatever in the White House somewhere. It's like the same thing as like, do you guys think I don't finish dinner? Do you guys think I don't finish my dinner? Like, real question. Or do you think that I definitely finish my dinner? So it's like, oh wait, yeah, Papa definitely finishes dinner. Why would he leave dinner some random place in the, you know what I mean? Like, you think I'm gonna leave my dinner somewhere? It's fucking preposterous, dude.
situation room, which I've never been in before. Okay, exactly. I mean, Jesus Christ. Anyway, but my point is that what if they, what if I'm flying back to LA and, or when I go through security and they find drugs in my bag? Who would believe me that I'm clean and sober? Who would possibly believe me?
No one.
No one. No one. And I could take drug tests and I could prove it and I could, literally, I pack my bag in front of a witness everywhere I go so that at least I would be able to say that. Here's the crazy part, is the idea that I would think that there is a government in power capable of doing that. It says everything anyone needs.
You don't finish your dinner, that's why there's a Popular Leftovers. Well, I don't really post on Popular Leftovers now. I actually, I've pulled everything to one channel. No more Popular Leftovers. I'm looking pretty swole though, dude. That's why you got to finish your dinner. You got to eat as much as you can so you can get fucking big and beefy. Start a gay cub OnlyFans when you fall off. You know what I mean?
It's to know about where we are.
Yeah.
The idea that you feel unsafe in the United States of America because you disagree with the current administration on a issue
True.
that 70% of Americans agree with you on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think we all can agree is that we need to stop the wholesale murder of a population in Gaza.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you think about my father's policy as it relates, I always say to people, one thing he didn't do? He didn't greenlight to turn Gaza into a Trump golf course.
That is true. Not to get too fucking, slop brained, but I mean, Hassan Parker was the one saying that Kamala would have been exactly the same as Trump. And I just think that's just so crazy. I think that that's just so crazy to me. I'm not saying that like Kamala would have been 10,000. Well, she would have been, anybody would have been better than Trump for Gaza, but I'm not saying that she would have been perfect, right? Or the perfect advocate for people in Gaza. But to say that they're the same is very strange to me. And like one of the things about Hassan that I get like this vibe from him is he gives me this MAGA vibe. Specifically, and when I say that, I specifically mean that there's a certain vibe from MAGA and like, especially Trumpers, where they create problems and then they complain about it, right? Like Trump could have, when Biden was in office, Republicans had this bill that was really good where they wanted to put more money at the border. They wanted to expedite the process of asylum seekers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right? It was a good compromise. People and Democrats were all for it. They were down for it. Right? But Trump didn't want that to pass because he needed to run on the border. He needed to run on like the border problems. And so he basically created the problem at the border so that he could, run on it and be like, oh, see, there's still this huge problem, blah, 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 blah. And that's one of those things, or talk about like, inflation and everything. Oh, it's so terrible. And then create more inflation just so that he can create a problem so that, he can stay in office in some capacity and like justify overreaching over and over and over and over again. And I feel like that's part of the thing. It's like, oh man, if I don't actively advocate for you to vote Kamala Harris, maybe Trump will be president again and I can make some money. And I will say that because, as a political streamer, when there's not like a whole lot going on politically, when somebody like Biden is president, things are calm. What do you talk about? You don't really have a lot to talk about. You just kind of fall off a little bit. So I do feel like maybe Hassan has a little bit of that MAGA energy where he wants to create a problem so he can complain about it and he can enrich himself over, at proper advocation. But maybe I'm a little too terminally online brained. Who knows?
With the maitre d' being Jared Kushner with $4 billion in Saudi money.
It's despicable.
Despicable.
Yeah. It's just like they did the deal before. I mean, when he posted that, I'll never forget that, posted the Trump, like, here's what Gaza could be. And like, I could have my name in a building. And I was like,
but literally that's what they're doing.
This is dead children. Like you're literally saying this is all going to be fine because we're going to get up a Trump resort or something. Positively despicable. I mean, just positively despicable, tasteless, indefensible. And
it's not a
yes,
joke, though,
and Jared, it wasn't a joke, and that is the deal.
And that's what they're doing, literally doing. And by the way, they're doing it out in the open. I mean, it's not as if they're hiding it in any way. I mean, they are making deals as they go through. Like I always say to people, it's like, you had such a problem with me. I didn't do any business.
I'll take the paintings.
I didn't do a single business. Every single person that bought a painting from me during the time my dad was there in office. I had 2 shows and probably sold a total of 20 paintings and 13 of them to my best friend. And that's it. That's it. And you had a problem, not you. Well, you too, but had a problem with me as being this emblem of corruption. These guys, okay. Don Jr.
See, that's what I'm talking about. He didn't pull the punch on Candace right there. So yeah, you kind of had this issue too. And Candace is going to say like, oh yeah, I wish we were back at this corruption. And the idea is like, oh, they were, selling their paintings and it was supposed to be like some kind of corruption in some capacity. Oh, they were getting good deals for their paintings. It was just a way to give them money on some kind of art that really isn't that good, but they have a justifier for it. That would be that's what I'm assuming the argument is, because that makes the most sense to me. But you have Trump who's literally investing into stocks and then regulating certain businesses so that they don't have to, so that they can sell to like AI chips to China, right? Like with NVIDIA. I think that's probably a little bit worse. Or getting deals from Qatar and building like fucking Trump hotels in Qatar. Trump is obviously just cashing out. I don't think that people understand that. Like Trump is like legitimately just cashing out. He's ready to go. He knows that like his time is limited. This is his last election. He knows that the numbers are very much against him. He's just cashing out as much as he can. That's why he's trying to steal money from the federal government with this like weird, slush fund for January 6ers. That's why part of the deal that he made with himself after he sued the IRS, because basically the attorney general is just his attorney at this point, was that they can't look at any of him or his family or his business's tax records from anything from like now to the left, like anything from now into the past, rather. That's what I meant to say. So it's pretty crazy. Is there any Hassan left that you kind of like? That's a good question. I don't think I really like anybody in the political space online. I don't know. I kind of just been not, I don't know. I don't really interact with a lot of people. I don't know. I don't really know. I think, you know what it is? I think that, we go, I like slop and stuff, and I like doing like, what the fuck, dude? I have like actual like brainworms right now. I like doing political drama and slop and stuff, but I feel like things have gotten into a weird spot where like I want to, maybe I'm kind of tired of the performance of some aspects of the situation, if that makes sense. So I don't know if there's anybody in like my sphere, which I'm not necessarily in. I'm kind of like I usually border multiple spheres that I necessarily like. Does that make any sense? I'm kind of chilling. I like Andrew Callahan. I think he's cool, but he's like more of a normal dude, I don't think that there's anybody in like the online orbit that I necessarily like. I'm just kind of, I don't know. I can't really point at somebody and go like, oh, I like that person. Doesn't mean I necessarily dislike them, but
got the single largest loan guarantee from the Department of Defense ever handed out of over $600 million for an energy company, a fusion energy company, of which he has zero experience in. They have gotten Jared Kushner, who's never run a private equity fund, has now a $4 billion private equity fund with 80% of the money coming from the Middle East, of which he continues to raise as he is the ambassador at large on behalf of the Trump administration, not as a political appointee, but simply as a son-in-law of the president, to come to a peace deal of a war in Iran that they started that has cost the economy billions and billions of dollars for a war nobody wanted, that every president before him, was pressured by the Israelis to get into. And every single one, regardless of what you think of them, from Jimmy Carter, through President Reagan, through both of the Bushes, through Clinton, through my dad, said, you're out of your damn minds. And here's the reason why. This is what's going to happen. So who benefits right now? You know who benefits? The people that are making trades of billions of dollars on market manipulation that occur. It's literally out in the open. But who's gonna
you will not get a disagreement out of me. Like, I am so far off the Trump train. He's posting.
No, by the way, and I'm not even saying it.
It's embarrassing. It is embarrassing. It is embarrassing because we got behind him as the answer to corruption. We thought he was going to be this outsider. He's going to go to DC. He's going to drain the swamp, and then he became the Loch Ness monster.
Well, I mean, I think that that's fine if that's why you voted for Trump in 2016, but it's gone now. What other justifier do we really have anymore? Like, he was so bad in his first term. Like, Trump was so bad in his first term. It's actually fucking crazy. And this is why I say things like, I think Trump is the only person in like the entire fucking world who benefited from COVID, because like people don't remember this, but Trump was getting absolutely ass blasted, before like in his first midterm, because he was so ineffective, he couldn't get anything done, and people were so sick of him. And then COVID happened, and he was able to turn things into like this conspiracy theory. It was fucking unhinged. It was absolutely fucking unhinged. I always found it so interesting that he was able to do that. And I don't know, man. And like now we're back again, and it's just like it's conspiracy theory central. That's all it is. I just find it fucking wild.
So it's like, I don't know what it is about that swamp, but you get swimming in it, and it's like people do this. And yes, it has been for Israel. Not to say that Trump wasn't pro-Israel. Most presidents actually are pro-Israel when they go in there, and if they go anti-Israel, they kind of end up dead. But it's
I don't know about that, but Trump didn't have to fucking cocksuck Israel. Biden was much better than that. He didn't give them like infinite whatever.
Or they sort of get kicked out. If you want to talk about Nixon and the scandal of Watergate, which I've revisited and did think that had a lot more to do with his shifting viewpoints, but that wasn't the issue.
Okay, didn't Nixon try to like control the Fed, and it ended up having like horrible ramifications when it came to inflation? Yes, the answer is yes. Just so you know.
Like, I was pro-Israel, generally speaking, not very educated about the topic. It's this level of corruption that you're talking about.
That's actually really, actually very true of me too. I think that's one of the funniest. It's not funny. It's really fucked up. But if you kind of like look at it a little bit, one of the craziest things is like before October 7th happened, I think that people were very much on Israel's side, generally speaking. And I even think that people, like myself included, when October 7th first happened, people were like very sympathetic to Israel, and then they just took that as a justifier to just continuously like fuck Gaza up so bad that people were like, this is a massively disproportionate response. And then you start looking into it and you're like, okay, there's a history of oppression, and I think Israel should be able to exist, but like maybe there needs to be reparations that go towards Palestinians. And then people start they start looking at it like, holy fuck, like this is pretty crazy. Like I don't think you can completely deconstruct Israel. It's been existing for quite a while. I understand it's less than 100 years, but still, listen, we're kind of like at this point where you can't just decide to eradicate an entire country, although it seems like the Israeli government thinks they can. But it's like they push too far, like most things do. Most things happen where like something happens and then there's like a reaction to it that goes in the opposite direction, and then it pushes too far and people start to swim the pendulum back. I think that this is an example of that happening.
When you are willing to let real Americans be harmed, their day-to-day lives be harmed, they're suffering at the gas pump, their groceries are expensive, all at so that you could further.
I love how that's one of the biggest things that's really turning people against Trump is that like the gas is expensive, because that is what it is. It's fucking crazy.
Rich, how much more money does Trump family need? I mean, just like literally, how much more money do you need? Like that
True.
You're going to allow this to happen? Don't you just want to have now the legacy of being a good president? I mean, this is
he was never going to have that because he was a horrible president. So
I was saying to you about like the cryptocurrency thing. I think there's incredible promise in cryptocurrency. I believe in the meme token. I'll do something one day to create a community, and there's really good reasons to do it. There's really interesting ways, and I know people can disagree. I just happen to be kind of like a
crypto guy.
I mean, just because of my I think it is incredible freedom in a world in which we've been controlled by banks. So if you have the same problem that I have with big pharma banks and the Fed,
Candace's audience is going to love that because they associate banks with a certain group.
and these like where does money come from kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Is it like I truly believe in what Satoshi, kind of the manifesto of Bitcoin. But that's just me, regardless. My point is that they had such an opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
They had such an opportunity. I'll give you this. I want you to look at the conspiracy theories. Go look up Gal Luft and Alexander Smirnov. They're the two principal individuals that made the only claim that people hung their hat in Congress and elsewhere as it relates to my dad and corruption, bribery and stuff like that. One of them is a fugitive from justice wanted by Interpol in the United States government, Gal Luft, who is a former IDF officer who is believed to be living in Israel as a fugitive, which the Israelis will not help us locate. And the other one is Alexander Smirnov, who is a
he did the alcohol.
known Israeli intelligence agent. Those are the two people who was in a prison in the United States, so serving 6 years, and they can't find him. Your prison can't find him in his prison, in the prison. He is on furlough, but no one knows where he's been furloughed to. The only passport that he has is an Israeli passport. There are forces that I used to say, oh, this is bullshit. Have you ever read The Devil's Chessboard?
Yes. Alan Dulles, looking into the CIA, I read this book, Chaos, that then led me to The Devil's Chessboard. It's actually on our list for books to read for the book club.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It'll knock you. Chaos, CIA, Manson stuff. That was the one that knocked me. And I was like, what the heck is our government? What is going on?
Chessboard, and you realize that. Anyway,
what the CIA is capable of, and you think it's all a conspiracy. And I think that's what they're fearful of, is that people have awakened to that. Yeah. And so when they're kind of trying to throw red meat now, which you see them doing, the left, the right, it's just not landing the same anymore, because we just realize that there is a devil's chessboard.
That's why in terms of the left, like, you think I'm going to defend the DC elite of the left? They crushed my dad. They when they saw their chance, they did everything in their power to push him out. You know why? Because he was never part of that club. He was never part of the Epstein class. He lived in Delaware. Everybody you can think whatever you want about my.
Maybe. I don't know if this is true or if he's just using this narrative to be like really intelligent. But like, they were pushing Biden out because he was like really old and struggled to be like. I think he was still within his mind when he, in his last presidency, but like all the stress was getting to him and he couldn't public speak anymore. So that was probably a little bit more to do with it, but I don't really mind him being opportunistic and being like, hey, listen, I'm going to position myself and my family as anti-democratic establishment so that I can gain more, favor in some capacity in a way that might be considered productive, Because again, things are pretty fucked, and I like Hunter Biden. I don't think it's a bad political strategy to operate in this capacity. I don't think it's like a stupid idea or anything. So
my dad never bought a stock or a bond because he made a commitment in 1972 when he was 30 years old after Watergate never to own a stock or a bond, and he did. My dad was the poorest person ever to enter the presidency, and the poorest person, not poorest. I mean, he had money. He'd written the book, and he'd done well, but he had the least amount of wealth entering the presidency in modern years since 1900 than anybody. And when he was in the United States Senate, he was not only the poorest man in the Senate, not poor again. He made over $170,000 in average over the course of 45 years. But not just the Senate, but 535 members of Congress. He was never a part of that club. And that's what I wish, you knew. That's what I wish they knew. And I am not here in any way to defend, the DC elites of my own party. I think that they're just as complicit in all this bullshit.
No, without question, like the Nancy Pelosi's. What's your opinion on Kamala then? Did you like her?
Look,
you didn't. You definitely didn't.
You know what? I did, and I don't want to say anything. I didn't know the vice president that well.
Okay.
And she was always nice to me personally, and so that was my, but I didn't have the other thing that people think that I was like living at the White House. I literally didn't leave my home because it was really hard to leave. I stayed, in the hill that I lived on until the fires came. That's where I was. I was with Bo and Melissa, and trying to make it through, and not trying to make it through, thriving, making it through what would otherwise have seemed like a horrible, horrible life from any outsider's perspective. So I'm not dodging the question, but I don't want to shit on the vice president because I have no reason to necessarily.
No, she did nothing personal to you. She was nice to you.
Never did anything personal to me.
Yeah.
I think that that's a respectable thing to do. I don't think that, I understand what he's saying. He feels like the Democratic establishment threw him out, and they were going to try to replace or threw his father out, and trying to replace this father with Kamala because they thought that was their best chance or whatever. But he doesn't want to blame her specifically. I think that that's smart. I think it's smart to. I think it sounds pretty. I think it sounds fairly genuine as well, but he doesn't want to just throw them under the bus and be like, yeah, fuck Kamala, and do a complete fuck you to all the Democrats, because I don't think Kamala Harris is a terrible person, or I don't think that she would have been a bad president either, frankly.
I think that she is, so
kind of really machine stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't, in terms of all of that stuff, I'm, I think I'm tough enough to realize that that's part of, when you get to politics at that level, people kind of, I think, have this misperception of me is that for 50 years I was a crack addict and I was that picture. I went to Yale Law School. I served in the Clinton administration. I was chairman of the board of the UN World Food Program, which is the largest humanitarian organization in the world. I served on 16 boards before I ever joined the board of Burisma or anything. I taught at Georgetown taught at the master's program at the School of Food Service for 4 years.
I actually didn't know that.
Yeah. And
that was something that surprised me too, not to be rude, but I thought you were dumb.
Yeah.
Because
okay.
I don't know, maybe because Meghan McCain was on The View for too long or something, and I was like, here we go, just like rich political kids. Like, I mean, she's just so dumb, and yet she's just always here. Like they're just giving her stuff, and so I think there's also that perception where it's their rich kids don't work, aren't smart, and so I was kind of expecting you to be sort of a Meghan McCain, and then when I watched it, I was like, oh wait, he actually has brain cells, which is
she was expecting him to be like like a Jake Osborne or whatever.
By the way, remarkable that you didn't kill them all off when you were on crack.
I told you before. I think they got pickled all the vodka
or something like that. So I was like, this is interesting. He's not a total idiot. So there are the stereotypes of rich kids who just keep getting handed all of these awards in life.
I say to everybody is that if there's anybody in the history of America that benefits from low expectations, it's me. Is that people are like, oh my God, like you're
not
a
dumb.
complete moron. You haven't pulled out your crack pipe yet, which is really crazy. But that gives you an idea, by the way, of the level to which I was muted. Because they didn't want, and you have to subvert your.
Well, I'd want you muted too when you were a drug addict. Let's keep it a stack here. You know what I mean? But I understand.
Self to a machine to a certain degree, and like it wasn't up to me if I wanted to go out and like rail at the machine or rail at go on and argue with Jake Tapper,
because it would harm your dad.
Yeah, because then I become even more of the story. But you give up your voice in that.
Some of these just seem like reasonable optics. I understand. It's just, I think the biggest problem, like this is how it happens on like both sides of the aisle, that there's going to be like optics play for the general establishment and like the machine in some capacity. It does kind of make some kind of sense that you want to like maintain some level of intelligent optics. Because you don't always want to like, you don't have to always respond to everything that's going on. You don't have to like respond every single time to something that's going on. It may not be productive. You might be better off just kind of keeping your mouth shut. It doesn't always look good, but sometimes it can get out of control where you're like overly suppressing people. And sometimes it becomes one of those things where like you don't even explain yourself to like, the average American, which I think is a problem. That like a lot of these political establishments have as well. So, but I do understand the generalized strategy of it. And if he's a little bit of an addict, it would make sense for him not to necessarily respond. But then again, like you would want to respond for your family. I mean, if you're fucking, Jake Tapper making some dumbass fucking like anti-Biden bullshit book, which is what it was. That's what he was doing. There's been a lot of people on the left that once Trump won, and this is like the Young Turks, the second that happened, all of a sudden they become anti-Democrat. They're like, oh yeah, I've been saying this. Democrats are stinky and poo-poo boys. And like they coward cuck to the fucking left or to the right in a weird way while still pretending to be on the left. Like they over-adjust. They don't make reasonable criticisms of the establishment. They do stuff like, left and right are the same. Except for the left is actually somehow worse. Like that's kind of that energy that Jake Tapper's book was like meant to communicate, because he's like he's cucking. He's cucking out
that way. And it's incredibly emasculating. And particularly when the portrait that is being painted of you as a ne'er-do-well that never did anything in their life. Like you want to talk about experience? Go look at my goddamn resume. I have 10 times more experience in 10 times more things. And I know I am 10 times more well-read than either one of the Trump boys, regardless of what you think about them. Now, you know what I can't do? Is that I'm not a great shot. And I don't know anything about real estate.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know anything about making money. And that's why I'm about, a few $1 million.
You want to know what? I think I personally think, and I think that there's a level of this, what this the podcast between him and Candace Owens is him trying to get himself politically in there, which I can respect. But I will tell you one thing: I will probably, and this might last for like my entire lifetime or a long time. I don't think I'll ever want to vote for anybody that's ever understands real estate. Because real estate is like real estate is fucking people so hard, through so many different means. I mean, you have these big companies that are buying up houses and either renting them out to people or they're flipping them and doing a terrible job. Just like and just to make a bunch of money. I know that the numbers are low. It's like, it's not a tremendous amount, but they're buying up clusters of homes within like very desirable areas, right? Places where there are the jobs that you or I want to work, or well, not me. I mean, I work from home, but you understand my point. Like the jobs where you want to work, they buy it up and they inflate the value. And it's not just the houses; it's also the other industries. They don't like McDonald's. It's 95%, I think, of their things are franchises. but they buy the ground beneath the McDonald's. So now the franchisee has to pay, the royalties, plus they have to pay the rent. So that's like inflating the cost. And there's so many different things that are getting inflated from real estate, and real estate is inflation proof, right? And that's what it is. Your property is going to go up in value regardless of if inflation changes. So they're inflation proof. They take a lot of the money and they spend it in the federal government to make them advocate for, adding massive red tape to building new homes in different cities or towns that are very desirable, so they can keep their home prices up, and they can use that money, net worth, to go and take low interest rate loans, and they can just go buy more stuff, and they can do this and they can do that, and they can have more of it. And so, like, for me, like, somebody who understands real estate is a negative thing at this point, especially when it comes to somebody being president, because I specifically because I wouldn't want them to be invested into real estate outside of like, oh, I have a house,
in debt. And I don't. I need to change that one around in some way at the age of 56. But the portrait that was painted on me has given me this incredible gift that I can walk into your house, into your studio, and I guarantee the people afterwards are going to go, I still think he's but my God, he's not. You know what? Like, can you believe it? He didn't go do lines in the bathroom.
No, that was my reaction when I watched Andrew Callahan. I was like, wow, he's actually thought through his addiction. He's talking about the ritual. Like, this guy's not an idiot. And you're right. I guess you do benefit from having exceedingly low expectations.
Exactly.
But it was sort of like you said the first time you spoke. And of course, you did sort of have to be quiet because otherwise you would have definitely hurt your father. And there's a machine that's kind of bigger than you that you have to submit yourself to.
The rage was there. You could tell that I even went back. My dad just said, honey, that was really beautiful parts of it. Do you have to use the F word that much?
What a dad. That's fucking Joe Biden. What a fucking dad. Did you have to curse so much? Yeah, man, fuck it. Who gives a shit,
I was like, coming from you. Which the thing about my dad.
That's kind of sweet though. Like when you hear that means like fucking Joe Biden watched the Andrew Callahan interview. You know what I mean? And I think that's just kind of nice. It's what a sweet moment. Like, yeah, I watched it. I watched my son. I got the Patreon so I could watch the extra stuff on the Patreon. What a cute moment.
That was he.
Oh, is that true?
He at least from the different generation, he never talked to us that way ever. Like even around my mom, or But anyway, so I'm trying to curb the F word for my mom and dad.
All right, you guys, summertime expenses in 2026 are stacking up faster than ever, leaving Americans feeling like the only option is swiping their credit cards. This keeps you trapped in a cycle of high interest debt. American Financing has a way out. This is not about shortcuts. It's a real strategic plan to reset your finances and reclaim your budget. At American Financing, they specialize in building...
Yeah, you want to know what it's called? Turn off your phone and be bored. Stop buying stuff. Try. It's hard to try,
Building plans tailored specifically for your goals. They look at your current debt and show you exactly how your home's equity can work smarter for you. So imagine rolling that high interest debt into one simple, manageable monthly payment. There are no upfront fees and zero pressure, just honest advice from salary-based consultants. On average, their customers are saving $800 a month. That is real breathing room. So start today, and you may be able to delay 2 mortgage payments. Call American Financing today at 800-795-1210. Again, that's 800-795-1210. Or visit AmericanFinancing.net/Owens. Again, that's AmericanFinancing.net/Owens. American Financing, America's home for home loans. How old were you, by the way, when your mother died in the car accident?
It's a hell of a change in the audio.
Just about 3. I was a month away from 3. Bo was a month away from 4. My sister, Caspi, was about 18 months. And who my oldest daughter's named after, Naomi. And yeah.
Do you have any memory of her?
Yeah, I don't know for certain whether the things that I have, which I believe are memories, are memory, because it would be very rare at that age. I have distinct memories of my mom carrying us around in picnic basket, and I even have a distinct memory of the car, not the accident, but of the car. But I don't know if it's because I've been, so steeped in stories. The beautiful part.
Yeah, I mean that can happen with people, especially when they're emotionally vulnerable, in general, or over a particular topic. Which obviously I think his mom and his sister died, right, in that car accident, I believe. You can almost have like memories implanted into you. This is something that they teach you try not to do when you're in when you're like some kind of a psychologist, they don't want you to implant memories into the people that you're trying to help, because that's not really a productive thing. You got to be careful with how you speak. You have to be careful not to over validate or under validate, because you could end up having a profoundly negative impact on the individual you're talking about.
Like everything, have you ever read any of the Gnostic Gospels?
No.
You really should, because I know you're. I've listened to you talk about your Catholicism and your faith, and
I'm like a toddler in the faith, and there's so much. It's like so rich.
So it's really cool. There's the one of the things that I've always been a student of, because when I first went to Georgetown, the two closest people after I got to Georgetown were two Jesuit priests. One was named Ted Desiak, and another one was Bill Watson. And both Father Watson and Father Desiak led me into this idea of service. I started a thing called the Jesuit International Volunteers with Father Watson. Father Desiak, and then I went to the JBC because of Father Watson, which is like the Domestic Peace Corps, and I did that for a year. And then when I opened up my own law firm, all my clients were Jesuit universities, because I was friends with presidents of the universities that were just like 5 or 6 years older than me. They were now becoming presidents of St. Joe's and Granton and Loyola and all these Jesuit universities, Detroit Mercy. And but anyway, the Gnostic Gospels. The Gnostic Gospels were they were found in Naj Hammadi, and they were written in the period between Christ's death and the first 2 centuries. And there's the Gospel of Thomas, Gospel of Philip, and Constantine. Now I'm going to. It's boring the hell.
No, I'm very interested
Constantine,
in this.
Emperor Constantine converted to Christianity.
Yep, the end.
But what he did, and really what it was about, was not a true transformation of faith. It was a way to consolidate power. So he made the Christian bishops, who were 200 years into the very, very early church. He made the Christian bishops his lieutenants and enforcers as it related to the religion, so that he can control the more radical elements of it. And so that is when they came to an adoption of just 4 gospels. Mm. And there's all of these other writings that became that you could get excommunicated for promoting. That is really beautiful. Really beautiful portraits of, like, the Gospel of Mary Magdalene and Jesus's relationship with Mary Magdalene. But anyway, it's not a gospel, but it is one of the texts. I think it's called the Acts of John. There is a thing that Christ says, and he says, I'm paraphrasing, "You must learn to suffer as I do, in order to be able not."
It's crazy, because if Candace Owens wasn't so insane and disgusting with her rhetoric, she might be cool to get along with. Well, I think that's just like a testament to her being like, she knows what she's doing. She's intelligent when she operates herself in general. She knows, she knows when to play into certain things and when not to play into certain things, and she knows when you have to leave it up to your intuition on when to turn your crazy on and off, because that is part of it, and she certainly she seemed to have turned it on at the right time, and she's really, really stacking up with it.
To suffer. And that is the greatest lesson of everything, is not having gratitude for all the good things in my life, for having immense gratitude for all of my life. Like, I wouldn't be here. We can have this honest conversation. I couldn't get to know you as a human being if every single thing didn't occur behind it.
I mean, I like that general sentiment. It's kind of like how I feel like, when you ask that question, sometimes people are like, "Oh, what's one thing you would change in your life?" And it's like, there's really nothing that I would want to change in my life, because, like, what if making a change in my life made it so that I didn't meet my wife? You know what I mean? So I wouldn't want to change that in my life. That'd be fucking preposterous, right? And I think that that's one of those things where you kind of have to hold on to you want to even hold on to the negatives that have happened in your life, just because they have led to you having positives in your life.
I would not feel this gift of being alive on a daily basis the way that I do if I hadn't overcome committing suicide dozens of times in motel rooms, in places that I could never afford to be found dead. And it's that piece of life that, like, the only way I got it is when they just tore off all my clothes, tarred and feathered me, and put me in the center of town and said, "Look at him." And I survived. When you survive that, you kind of go, what am I going to do with my life? Well, the number one thing I want to do with my life is, number one, take care of me.
Yeah.
You take care of me.
I feel like I
yeah.
have to say, like, I'm really sorry that I contributed to that. Like, I just feel really shitty. Like, I feel guilty because, like, hearing you talk about, I mean, basically having the worst moment of your life. Like, I always speak about on my show how.
I wonder if there's like almost a level of genuinity there where like so many people like Candace Owens, they look at Hunter Biden and he's obviously talking about him as money. But they almost look at him like, oh, he's not a person. He's just like an online figure, or he's like a political figure. Those aren't really people. So I feel like I can kind of say whatever the fuck I want. You know, I wonder if there was like a level of that. That's part of it. And maybe she does to some degree feel bad. But I think a lot of it's a fucking grift. So
a lot of these kids growing up aren't going to even know what it was like before social media, where you could just make a mistake and like have that be over, and you got to grow up. And now it's like they're digging and they're finding people's tweets from when they're 17. They're an idiot. They wrote the N-word once, and they like want to hang them when they're 40.
Whoa.
And I just saw you as a caricature, and it was definitely, like I said, like feeling gaslit by the political machine, convinced that it was just the left that partook in this political machine. And I just like really want to say, like, genuinely.
You were convinced that it was just the left that partook in the political machine. That's crazy, but okay.
Like, I'm so sorry that I just didn't even.
I don't even know how these people are unhinged. And I think it makes sense that they've always been unhinged, because look at who they voted for. You know, no normal person's like, oh, like Donald Trump, the absolute fucking piece of dog shit, like moron, you know, who just sensationalizes everything and is like so mean and nasty and rotten to everybody. You know, that's my guy. I'm normal. Excuse me, sorry for the coughing, but that's my guy. I'm a normal person. Like, no, of course you have to be some kind of like delusional, insane fucking moron freak to want to vote for Trump, specifically a second time. You know, it's one thing if you want to, you want to, you know, give that excuse of like, oh, you know, I wanted something different, blah, 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 blah. And you got it. But then if you vote for him again, especially when he was massively ramping up what was already like, you know, insane rhetoric, it sounds like you just wanted to be hateful and you were expressing that through your voting. So give me a break.
Consider he's a crackhead, and like, you know, like that's actually a very relatable thing, and he shouldn't be, you know, like to have that is just unbelievable to consider every worst thing you've ever done.
I am, like I told you before we started, I cry very easily.
But I just feel like it's not who I want to be. And I think I've come a long way from that in general. And like, but I did partake in just the inhumanity of just look at this guy at the worst moment of his life, like with prostitutes, he's on crack, he's on drugs, and we should make fun of him because it makes us feel good. Or it makes us feel like we're somehow beating the machine. And that it was, I think,
or you're just making money.
A really warped viewpoint. And hearing you speak about it today, I'm just like, wow, it is so gross that I partook.
You have so much, and I mean this in a good way, so much power, because I think that your audience absolutely trust you. And the reason that they trust you is because you've shown an enormous amount of courage of speaking your mind, particularly as it related to someone that you love like a brother.
Bro, this Charlie Kirk jerk off machine is crazy to me. Keep doing it. Fuck it. I mean, it's destroying the right, but like, fucking Jesus Christ.
And
like, Charlie Kirk has been reduced down to like fucking Instagram memes on it. Like really insensitive Instagram memes, you know what I mean? It's like, holy shit.
Everything that has transpired since then, which is a immediate rejection of power and immediate rejection of, and knowing that you were just going to get the shit beat out of you. And for you to say that to me, I truly mean it. But just from a purely selfish point of view, it means the world. And
no one
and that, it was, I truly didn't come here for that. I came here because, you know what? I ask forgiveness every day, without any expectation that I will be forgiven. But I know the people that I hurt, and you know, and I still do, and I'm not even remotely perfect, and I still screw up, and you know, but God, if we,
yeah, like really nobody, unfortunately, well, unfortunate or not, nobody truly cares that much that Charlie Kirk died. Sounds like a terrible thing to say, but like on the right, you would have had this expectation that they would have cared, and they are showing their ass. You know, nobody, like, again, Trump just talked about the ballroom when he was asked about it. And it boils down to like pushing conspiracy theories. Candace Owens has like really always been a conspiracy theorist, which is why you can't feel bad for somebody like Ben Shapiro when she goes crazy. Cause like, dude, you no shit. She's always been a conspiracy theorist. This is just the next new conspiracy that she gets to latch herself onto. Because I'm pretty sure she wasn't even like that friendly with Charlie Kirk. Like they hadn't really been friends in years, and she was like, "He was my best friend," and it's like not really. Like she's kind of like they were friends, but they disconnected from each other. Probably because she's fucking insane.
To have this conversation and genuinely, authentically believe that, like, I think just opens the door for and a few other people without being, with all humility, like maybe a few other people.
And there is a freedom in it too. Like there's a freedom that your worst moments of just like,
Yeah,
there's nothing else.
what are you gonna say?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
like,
Like,
you got me butt naked up with
Yeah.
with a crack pipe. So
Yeah,
I mean, I
exactly.
survived it, and so
Yeah.
you have it, and
Yeah.
it allows you to kind of return
Yeah.
to who you are, because it's
Yeah.
We're crazy.
addiction is.
Yeah.
I wouldn't wish it. I always say, like, people growing up and seeing what it's done to families, and seeing a lot of stuff when I was younger, like really made me like, again, I'm
Yeah.
like, wow, I can't even imagine.
Imagine if you could talk about it. Imagine if you could have openly talked about it, and the person that you were confronting or doing it is like, were able to say, like this is, like, we got to do something about this. Come on, everybody, let's do something about it. I want to start an aftercare program for people for free, because the biggest thing that happens is people go to detox and they go to recovery center or rehab, and they get out after 30 days and they got nowhere to go. And so one of the things that I'm trying to do is start a free aftercare program. And there's a couple. There's one in Kentucky that is a really beautiful model. But if I could do that, I work with an organization called Boston Universal. I'm the development director there, and they do tenants' rights and homeless prevention. Like I know what we all can agree on. We can all agree on that, that people can't afford to pay the rent and need to be able to figure out a way to stay in their houses.
True.
This before it becomes a mother with 3 kids that are homeless.
Mm.
We know where that leads. But these kinds of
Yeah, I mean, it leads to drug addiction in a lot of instances.
things is what I want to use, what I'm doing. I want to do that. I also want to make a living. I also want to be able to pay my
True.
debt.
I can, it's always nice when somebody's able to make money doing what they like to do. You know what I mean?
Also want to be able to do the things that I have, I also still want to make art. I started finally like, you know what, I'm going to put all my art on my website, and people can come look at it. If they want to buy it, they can buy it.
Mm-hmm.
And because I don't really believe art becomes art until you share it with somebody. Until there's an observer of it. So I can sit in my studio, which is my garage. But I want to do all of those things, and I want to be able to do it, and I want to be able to talk to you. You know what I mean? I want to be able to talk to the people. I want to talk to like that family, the necessary conversation, and say to the mom, like, the stories your daughter tells you about the way that you adopted animals, it really moves me.
Mm.
The fact that you think I'm the spawn of the devil. We maybe have a discussion about it,
Right. Yeah, it's caricature.
Yeah.
And I have a caricature of me that's been built up for years. So I should have been more empathetic to it, honestly. But it's when you're in it, you kind of don't really know that you're in it, I think.
Well, not only in it, is that you're in it to win it.
Yeah.
And once everything is put in a political lens and life or death, and if we lose this election, this is over. And these, now I will tell you this, is that we've never had somebody that is, opposed staying longer than they're supposed to. But regardless.
That is true. Well, Trump seems to make a lot of comments about how he wants to stay longer than he's supposed to. So, I guess backing an interesting horse there.
Is that I think that we all have a tendency to look at the time that we live in and say that it's worse than ever, absolutely worse. And the fact of the matter is if you know your history, is that like this is a cycle. There will always be really bad people. We will always be disappointed in the end with leadership. We will always have corruption. It doesn't mean that we need to accept it. It doesn't mean that we don't need to fight against it. It doesn't mean that sometimes really good.
No, but I understand what he means. Like sometimes people get really worked up. Like this is the worst it's ever been, and this is the, and it probably isn't, generally speaking, only because year over year violence does generally go down and all that. And we've seen some pretty evil shit. The thing is that like Trump is on social media, so like all other like horrific figures, they don't really have a social media to be able to elevate themselves in the way that Trump has been able to elevate himself. So it seems like worse than it actually is, and I understand that, and we can fight against certain things, and I get that. I understand what he's trying to say. I do understand what he's trying to say there. But it's a pretty fucked area. I think that one of the things that people have to realize too, though, is that like when you have this idea like, oh, this is really bad right now, it's never been this bad, we have to fight back against it. That's what like acknowledging that things have been worse in the past is good, but sometimes it could also be a cope, because if you don't start getting riled up at what's going on, that freedom's being taken and freedom of speech being expressed, et cetera, et cetera. If you don't get riled up against that, then you don't start to come away from it. It's like things get really bad and then you start getting riled up and angry. So you advocate against it and things start getting like a little better, and you kind of go back and forth between, different things, left and right, or back and forth between this and that. And you try to like make the pendulum stay in the middle. And you do that between like outrage of different groups of people advocating.
Good people make the wrong choice.
Not me, dude. I always make the right choice.
But what it does mean is that I have absolute hope. I really, truly still believe in America, even with all of all of its faults. I mean, even after reading The Devil's Chessboard, like, you read that and you go like,
what is
and
this?
that's not about Democrats, and that's not about Republicans. And if you go back and you go back to Reconstruction, you go back to Andrew Johnson, and you go back to like the fact that the United States of America has not been truly the United States of America until 1964 at best. And this whole thing, but I still really believe in the illusion. And the thing that makes me so mad is they have completely torn away that illusion, and people feel hopeless. They feel like there's no chance of changing it. Okay, they gave this guy the reins to do it, and he was the one who's going to blow everything up and make it better for everybody. And they're kind of like, wait a second, what happened to Charlie? Wait a second, why are we at war again?
Yeah. I think this is actually the most important question, and I will make this my final question I want to ask you, but I'm really interested about your faith life. You're Catholic, you're raised Catholic, you went to Catholic school, and you're talking to me about the Gnostic Gospels.
Okay, let's you and I go see the Pope together.
I would love to do that.
Seriously.
I think he's a little mad at America right now.
No, but you and I
he's been, I was tweeted the same day as the Pope, by the way, by Trump when he said bad things about me.
For real, let's go to the Vatican.
I would love to.
It's the coolest place in the world. I love it.
I just got back from Italy. I was there 2 weeks ago. Yeah, I did my confirmation.
Well, oh, you did?
I did. It was just the most beautiful.
Oh, that's so cool.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
It was literally the same day that Trump posted the Time most vile person of the year. So I felt like there was, even in that, there was something divine, because it was like looking at fake power and then the real power of like having, a cardinal getting confirmed, being in Italy, the deep history, like what outlasts that. Like there was something so fickle about it, like posting this photo of me when I was sick. Okay, great.
Wait, hold on.
Talk about humiliating people for sport.
Somebody literally sent this to me right before I came into you. They knew that I was going to talk to you. And I promise you I did not plan to do this.
No, you're so fine.
It was a prayer. If you are wise and understand God's ways, prove it by living an honorable life. Do good works with the humility that comes from wisdom. But if you are bitterly jealous and there is selfish ambition in your heart, don't cover up the truth with boasting and lying. For jealousy and selfishness are not God's kind of wisdom. Such things are earthly, unspiritual, and demonic. For wherever there is jealousy and selfish ambition, there you will find disorder and evil of every kind. The whole first piece of that, when you were just talking, is what's my faith? If you are wise and understand God's ways, prove it by living an honorable life. And the thing that I recognized is that quote from Mother Teresa, I don't go to Mass as much as I used to. I grew up going to Mass every Sunday. I never would miss a Mass. I went to Georgetown, I was Catholic. But what I realized is that my real faith is in that belief, is that just do the next right thing. That's it. Whether it's the golden rule. And that doesn't mean you have to be weak in your empathy, but always be compassionate. I believe in the perennial philosophy. I believe that same exact message from the Upanishads to the Gospels of Jesus Christ are all at base in terms of the red letter words of each of them are saying the same thing. Love your neighbor like you would want to be loved. And it's the hardest thing in the world to do. It's so hard. But that's my faith. And I think that there are certain people that arrive at certain times that are messengers of that. And like for instance, I certainly don't agree with the Catholic Church on a lot of stuff. I certainly have but I tell you what, I really am so proud of Pope Francis and now Pope Leo in terms of just the notion of social justice. And I think that there can be a practical application of that in terms of our leadership. I really do. I think that faith that is used as a cudgel is really, really dangerous. I think that I know a lot of people that I personally love and very close to that are part of an evangelical church, particularly in the African American community, but that are horrified by complicity of a certain section of the evangelical church and what's happening in the world today.
Mm.
So to me, my faith is very personal, rooted in it's rooted in Catholicism, and it's rooted in the Society of Jesus, the Jesuit Church in particular, which they used to always call the Black Pope until we finally got a Jesuit Pope. But and with the eyes wide open too, that the church is as an institution is incredibly flawed and had been, but it's given me an enormous sense of community and belonging, just from a cultural perspective.
That's nice. It's probably a very good thing that like there's somebody again that's more left leaning that's embracing religion for different people to like kind of gravitate towards and latch themselves onto. It makes sense to me. Wow, what a checkpoint! Holy fuck. It's like a good thing because I think that one of the problems that some people probably have is that they feel like they have to be right because the left isn't really embracing religion, and I think it's totally valid to not really embrace religion, especially considering how it's been used for how long. And I think that the Republican establishment has kind of created this situation where they've used religion as such like a horrific thing, that some more left-leaning individuals are like, oh, I don't want to associate with this because, I don't know, it's been used as like an oppressive tool in many instances. But it does help to kind of keep it going for some people that are like, oh no, like religion's very important to me. I really want to have an association with it in some capacity. But maybe they don't want to vote Republican. But boom, there you go. You have somebody that's like, somebody that's more Democrat that embraces religion, and it gives people like an out. It's like, oh, I can be a Democrat and still be very religious in some capacity, and there can still be some kind of like a religious, or there can be some kind of like a religious expression in my politics. I think that's what like makes James Talarico so good too, because he kind of opens the door for that too.
Well, what I'm gonna say is I really think you should go to confession.
Yeah.
You should do that.
Oh, I don't worry. I've been to confession.
Yeah, you should go to confession and get, just
100%. Yeah, don't worry.
Go back to the root. Go back to the root, and
here's the other
there's
thing.
so much there, and it's like you're not, you're just not enough. Your brain's not enough. I mean, hearing you describe that, I can do this. That there's just something about, for me, like the submission that is every at mass, and just remembering like
the beautiful thing.
Yeah,
the beautiful thing is this. The beautiful thing is that I have been going to confession for 6 years.
Wow.
Right here. That's me. I like that freedom. What you feel like the only person that you could say this to, and I'm not saying that there is not like my impure thoughts that I'm, that's between me and God. But I am saying is that feeling of release that the confessional is there for.
Sounds like a form of therapy.
Is the feeling that when I was finally able to see beyond all of the noise that I received by just existing and getting up every day and looking, turning over and seeing that my wife who saved me and Bowie and my dad as a dad, not as president, but just as a dad, and my mom and my sister and my aunts and uncles and everybody else, and then the wider circle, my friend George, my friend Franny, my friend Bobby, I like people that came into my life and never left, and despite it all, when there was nothing in it for them but just grief and ridicule. Pretty cool.
It's everything.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Hunter Biden. Never thought this conversation would happen, and it just, stranger things have happened, and this has truly been one of the most powerful discussions that we've ever had. And I think it's because of your journey. You've lived through a lot. You lost your mother, your sister in a tragic accident. You lost your brother to cancer. Maybe for a while lost your dad to politics, the political machine. Lost yourself to crack cocaine. And somehow
I gained everything.
Yeah, gained it all back.
Yeah, I really did. I can't tell you how much it means to me that that you would invite me here into your home to be able to have this discussion.
All right.
And I really, really mean it. I'm really, really honored.
And I'm grateful that you took it and that you've accepted my apology, because I just feel really shitty about it. But
thanks.
Guilt.
Hey, no bad words. Joe Biden
was good, like we said earlier. Thank you so much for joining us. Amazing.
All right. Well, that was certainly an interesting interview. I actually do enjoy watching Hunter Biden talk to people. I do actually like Hunter Biden quite a bit. So, yeah, a cool bean. Incredible stuff.